Hey everybody, thanks for coming. We're excited to be here. Last night of the RNC, very exciting. JBL, as you were discussing right now in the green room as we waited to go on, the thing you're most excited for tonight is for tonight to be the night that Donald Trump finally becomes president.
Yeah.
Finally takes the job seriously and unites the country.
People
all
grow
that
in
sort of stuff.
office, Sonny, and they grow out of office as well. And being shot at and missed can change a man. So I really, I'm expecting to see a brand new tone. He's not even going to use the word Biden once. He will call very few people vermin, and probably only black people will he call vermin. And I'm just feeling good about America. Feeling good about America.
Things are feeling good. Sam, what's the vibe like at the convention right now? What are the people on the floor really feeling like?
So yeah, I'm out here. You can see this is the arena right here on the floor. Basically, I just was there for some of the warm-up acts, including Donald Trump's golf pro, which is a sort of an interesting convention speaker, maybe unconventional to say. I mean, the vibe's pretty, jubilant. They've been really happy with how this has gone, and probably for good reason. There's been no major fuck-ups. They've kept it kind of tight. They've been subdued. I thought, the J.D. Vance speech last night was kind of a microcosm of it. Just pretty dull down the middle. First do no harm type speech. And frankly, on the floor, like, it doesn't even have that, like, it's not even like a overjoyed vibe. They're just like kind of subtly confident about how this is all going. Almost like they can't believe the amount of good fortune they've had over the past week and a half, 2 weeks. And we were talking about this in the green room a little bit, but like the other sort of weird dynamic here is that everyone kind of knows that the story has nothing to do with what's happening here. It's like all the drama is surrounding what's happening with the Democrats. And so we're all here, but almost half of the reporters that I talk to, at least here, are like working on stories around Biden, which is creating this weird dynamic for the journalism here.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what is the sense of people on the floor? I mean, are they following what is happening with Biden as closely as they're following what's happening in the actual, on the actual speaking stage?
They're not like, maybe because it's just bad internet in there. They're not like on Twitter getting it in real time, but they are following the ins and outs. And they're joking that they think Biden should stay in until the end. They think that would be the best thing ever. They think it's for the good of the country, yada, yada, yada. You can sort of see subtle shifts a little bit in how they're making Harris a little bit more of a target, just ever so slightly. But, they're also keenly aware of the kind of civil factionalism that's happening on the Democratic side of things. I will say I expected almost a little bit more of them mocking Biden and his age. They've been, like I said, they've been kind of subdued about it, but they're very much following the ins and outs of the storyline.
So, Sam, can I ask a question? Yeah. I'm sorry to butt in here, Sonny, after saying I'm so glad you're going to drive. But, so I'm not there, but I've been to a bunch of these things, and it looks to me like the Republicans are acting like they're 12 points ahead. Because I've been to, all sorts of conventions where the party had maybe a 5 or a 7 point lead, and there was still, there was like hopefulness, maybe a little bit of confidence, but also a lot of like, I don't know, a lot of game to play here. We really gotta make this happen. These guys seem, I don't want to say complacent, but it does sound from the stage like a party that thinks that this whole thing is in the bag and that there is no possible way they can lose. Is that?
Yeah, I get that read a little bit for sure. I go back to the J.D. Vance speech. Like usually that speech can introduce someone to the national stage or try to like expand the coalition. That speech was really like just him playing it safe. None of the sort of outreach to moderate Democrats or trying to recruit communities of color. It was just sort of like basic bland J.D. Vance.
Well, it really called to mind Tom Bombadil when he and the Nazgul met over by Rivendell, and I think that's the model he probably used for those remarks, right, guys?
Yes, I totally agree. Yeah, is that a Lord of the Rings thing?
That's Lord of the Rings. It's the worst character in Lord of the Rings, Tom Bombadil. Somebody,
And you know,
somebody's gonna
JB is
yell
a
at me in the
huge Lord of
comments
the Rings
about that.
guy. Yeah.
Well, this
Yes,
is
I'm
actually a
aware.
huge Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
guy.
I'm aware. I did a whole YouTube video about this, Samuel.
Oh yeah. I did watch that YouTube video. I will say people should watch that YouTube video. The 11 points were very, very astute.
Really quite good.
I enjoyed it. Yeah. Let me just add one other thing. I think this is kind of a worthy element. I don't think Trump's a new, more toned down Trump. I think he'll try whatever. I will say he's a more tactically astute Trump, and the way they kind of micromanage this process, including the platform committee, and how they just basically like completely sanded down the platform, made it like a page and a half. They did it because they don't want to mess up any chances that they have to win. It also, to me, struck me as a campaign that actually is doing what it takes to win, right? Like he's not, they're trying to just remove any tripwire. And that's a little bit more professional than we're used to seeing from his operation. Doesn't mean he's a new president. Doesn't mean that he's like a more moderate Trump. But I think when you've done this for 8 years, as he's done now, and this is now your third nomination process, like you do learn a few things, and it's pretty evident in the execution of this convention.
Yeah, he definitely. This is what
Hey, I'm
see
sorry. Hold on,
watching-
Sonny. Barry, if you're listening, let Tim in. Sorry, Sonny.
Yeah, no worries. Oh, hey, it's Tim. Here's Tim. I was just going to say what I see of Trump on TV is a guy who is just kind of sitting there and smiling and hugging grandkids. I mean, it is literally like shaking hands, hugging babies, politicking, which I have never really seen from him before. It feels different, and things that are different with Donald Trump often make me uncomfortable, and this feels kind of the same way.
Does it feel that different, or is it just Donald Trump liking attention? Like at his core, doesn't Donald Trump just want to be talked about? And so, what is more Donald Trump than wanting to sit there for hours listening to people talk about how great he is? I don't know.
I will say everyone is sort of observing that it's a little bit rare for the maybe completely rare for the presidential candidate to like literally be in the VIP section the entire time, just sort of watching over the stage as people praise him and talk about him in very providential terms. Like that doesn't normally happen.
I forget, but that is different from 2016, right? He did not do this in 2016.
He did not do
2016. You had people trying to stop his nomination at the convention.
Yeah.
This is the other thing. This is the first time he's had
from the
stage
like
because 2020 was right. 2020 was a pandemic event from the White House. He's never had something like this. It's like the greatest night, 4 nights of his life. I had a question, Sam, though, because it's forward looking. What percentage chance of victory do you think the median person at this convention believes they have? Because again, the vibes I'm getting is that these people think there is no possible way they can lose, which worries me because if Trump loses, which, is a thing that happens, I just don't know how any single person there could possibly accept that.
Yeah. I
mean, it just seems to go to a really dark place.
I hear you. In the story we did like on Tuesday, I was talking to a bunch of people about that. I was like, what percentage chance do you give this? And then mostly it's like 80%, but like the last 20% is just superstition, right? Like, I don't want to say 100 because I don't want to jinx it.
He's only up like 3 points in the fucking polling average. That is what is so crazy about this.
And it does raise the specter that if this does turn around and get tighter, and if Biden or whoever does pull it out, they're going to think shenanigans, right?
Well, I mean, if you believe he's been, he is only at 3 points in the polling average, but in this context, there's been a 2-week period where his opponent couldn't speak on the debate stage. Sure. And then where, in a lot of views of a lot of people there, he was protected by God from a bullet. So it's, on top of it's not just the polling data that they're looking at, right? And you have to add on top of that most of these people don't think that he lost in 2020 and think it was stolen from him.
I mean, also on top of that, just breaking it down state by state, he's winning in every swing state, basically. I mean, he is polling, he's currently polling up
these things do shift.
Of course.
I don't know. Like I was there when Barack Obama was +5 and the Obama what was 2012 did not feel like this. I was there when George W. Bush was like +4 over Kerry in 2004. The atmosphere did not look and feel like this. Again, they felt good to be ahead, but they did not feel like this thing is in the bag, dude. Let's start lighting stogies. And that's what this seems like. It does not seem like there is any recognition that it is possible that they could lose an election. And I just think that again, I wouldn't care, except that these people attempted a coup last time because they couldn't accept the fact.
Well, maybe
that they
not
lost.
these people.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go in there and I'm going to ask them if they actually think it's possible they lose an election. I'll come back out and what they say.
That'll be awesome.
That'd be great.
Just like ask them like percentage chance, right? If we run this election 10 times, how many does Trump win?
Ask them. Here's the question I want to know. Ask them if they think it's cheating if the Democrats sub in another candidate. Ask them if they think that would be unfair, underhanded, rug pulling shenanigans. Because that's what I would expect to happen.
While we have questions, I have one more. Do they have any concerns about the fact that at least 3 of the men on stage have been credibly accused of sexual assault? That's something that I would also be wondering.
Tim, I think that's a rhetorical question for the audience.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah. That was rhetorical. You're the journalist, Sam. I don't know. I'm still new. I'm still new to this. All right. I don't exactly know, kind of what's an appropriate question to ask. But that's just something that's on my mind.
JBL, you mentioned
Tim, what else is on your mind? I want to know.
I mean, the main thing that's on my mind is I'm interested to see Tucker. It is a very weird lineup tonight, and I feel like the conventional wisdom has congealed. That this is a much chiller convention than we expected through the first 3 days, and I don't disagree with that really. But Hulk Hogan and Tucker. Here's Tucker. We have to listen to a little bit of Tucker and Dana White and his lawyer, his criminal defense lawyer, and a couple of rich friends of his. That's the final election. That's the final convention night lineup. I find that very weird. So that's on my mind. To Tucker? Yeah. Kamala, coconuts are on my mind as well. Let's do a little Tucker.
Good to see you. Thank you. I feel like I know about
who wants to bet me? $5 he talks about architecture. The beauty of classical architecture.
Thank you guys.
The Russian subways.
Yeah. How it kills the human spirit,
Peter
modern
Navarro
architecture.
Is back. Welcome to Peter Navarro. Suffering the fate that has happened to so many who are friends with Donald Trump. Thank you for having me. I have a
traditional criminal shout out there at the beginning of a speech.
I have been to many conventions. I have never been to a more fun convention or a convention with better vibes.
I want to know if he's wearing khakis or if this is a suit.
They literally let Navarro out of prison.
Khakis.
Thank you.
It's got to be khakis, right?
We got khakis on the Fox
This feels
feed
a lot different from what I thought it was going to feel like. I can't hear you, but I know it's something good. So I watched the video of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania about 50 times. I think I was one of about 8 billion people around the world who watched it. And the more I watched it, the more it struck me that everything was different after that moment. Everything. And this convention is different. The nation is different. The world is different. Donald Trump is different. When he stood up after being shot in the face, bloodied, and put his hand up, I thought at that moment, that was a transformation. This was no longer a man. Well, I think it was divine intervention, but the effect that it had on Donald Trump, he was no longer just a political party's nominee or a former president or a future president. This was the leader of a nation. And I think there's a difference. I've spent most of my life in Washington where the president is at the top of the pyramid, everyone wants to be the president. But if you think about it, the presidency comes with great power, obviously. But if you think about it, that is a title that is bestowed by a process of some sort that can be subverted. And in the end, it does not confer by itself, as no title does, legitimacy. Just because you call yourself the president doesn't mean that much inherently. I can call my dog the CEO of Hewlett Packard, it doesn't mean she is. You know, it's true. And you hate to say it, but it is also true as a fact that you could take, I don't know, a mannequin, a dead person, and make him president.
Calling her a dog.
No, you could. I'm just saying theoretically possible. With
Carly picked up that reference.
With enough cheating, that could happen. But being a leader is very different. It's not a title. It's organic. You can't name someone a leader. A leader is the bravest man. That's who the leader is. That is true in all human organizations. This is a law of nature. And in that moment, Donald Trump, months before the presidential election, became the leader of this nation. That was the most obvious to me. And I have to say, you know, I think it changed him.
Tucker needs to do the change thing since he texted that he hated
and
Trump passionately.
What he said to me that night, having just been shot in the face, he said not a single word about himself. He said only how amazed he was and how proud he was of the crowd, which didn't run. And I thought two things. The first thing I thought was, well, of course they didn't run. His courage gave them heart. A leader's courage gives courage to his people. And the second thing I thought was, this is the selfish guy I've been hearing about for 9 years, really, not a word about himself, about his people, period. And the second thing I noticed, which I don't think anyone has remarked upon in public, but I'm just going to since I don't have a script, like why not, is that he turned down the most obvious opportunity in politics to inflame the nation after being shot. To inflame the nation, which is an opportunity that almost every other politician I've ever met, and certainly his opponents, would have taken instantly. And they would have said, well, what is this? How did he get shot? Like, how did this happen? And those are real questions that we have to get to the bottom of. But
or in the just asking questions period of the Tucker speech.
The week after the shooting, he did not say that.
Yeah. JD
did
that.
To bring the country
and I'm doing it right here.
This is the divisive figure. This is the irresponsible person. No. This is the most responsible, unifying behavior of a leader I think I've ever seen. So the question is, where is he leading us? And I could go on for hours, but let me just sum it up. I do think the entire point from the famous escalator ride 9 years ago until today of Donald Trump's public life has been to remind us of one fact, which is a leader's duty is to his people, to his country, and to no other.
That's
the point. That's
one might even say.
Point. And another word for this is democracy.
I'll just say, Rupert Murdoch just walked right by me going into the
sick of being beaten in the face.
Go ask him. Let's do a little quick interview. See what he thinks about the speech.
The proposition that the citizens of the country own that country. They're not renters. They're not serfs. They're not slaves. They are the owners of the country.
No Fox hosts
and for that to be
on the
true,
speaking roster, I noticed.
Their leaders have to represent them, which is another way of saying they have to do what the people want them to do.
I think that fits into something larger.
Or a close approximation thereof. But if they completely ignore what people want, not just 1 year, but generationally, say for 50 years, then it may be, I don't know what, it's not a democracy. And so I think the entire Trump project, paradoxically, is attacked as an enemy of democracy, is to return democracy to the United States. Hey, let's pay attention to what people actually want.
Classic.
Get the brown people!
In that question in Washington is something that ultimately drove me out of the city after 35 years. Lawmakers stepping over the prostrate bodies of their fellow citizens ODing on drugs to go cast votes to send money to some foreign country. Yeah, actually, we've lost more Americans from drugs in the past 4 years than we lost in World War II. Yeah. Our bloodiest war, more than we lost in World War II. Does anybody care? It is pathetic. It is pathetic. And do you hear a single word from Washington about doing anything about it? We know where the drugs are coming from. We know the supply routes. The U.S. military spent billions bombing the Ho Chi Minh Trail. You don't see our commander-in-chief suggesting that
This is
we
not
use
really
our military
true.
to protect our country
Where the fentanyl
or the
comes
lives
in
of its
from.
citizens. No.
Comes in at ports.
That's for
It's
Ukraine.
very easy to transport fentanyl.
And it's too much, actually. It's too
It's
insulting.
very bad, but this is all bullshit.
It's too insulting. It's a middle finger in the face of every American. It's a very clear statement, which is unmistakable. And that is, we don't care about you.
I do give Tucker credit for keeping
And
his
Donald
original
Trump,
face.
Whatever
which
you
is pretty
say about
rare
him,
among speakers.
and I think he's a
at
wonderful
this
person.
convention.
I know him well. By the way,
His face is
the
his
funniest
authentic,
person I've ever met in my
original
life,
face.
actually. You can't be funny without perspective or without empathy, which is true. But everything else about Trump aside, he actually cares because he's interested in the people who live here because that's his job. A father's job, his duty is to his family. An officer's duty is to his men. A president's duty is to his citizens. And he seems to be the only one who thinks that. And in his choice for vice president, J.D. Vance, he's made that really clear. J.D. Vance, I'll say this about him, is a thoroughly decent man, and I'll just admit it.
Looks like it's about an even Steven
one of the very
between
few
World War II
politicians
and
in
drug
Washington who
deaths
actually
over the
was
last
very
4
close
years.
to his own wife, which is wonderful to see. And she's wonderful, actually. But J.D. Vance has views that are closer to Trump's voters than anyone else in Washington in office. Therefore, he's the vice president. That's called democracy. So I will stop on just one point, and that is what's happened over the past month since the debate, and particularly on Saturday in Butler. I think a lot of people are wondering, what is this? This doesn't look like politics. Something bigger is going on here. I think even people who don't believe in God are beginning to think, well, maybe there's something to this, actually. And I'm starting to think it's going to be
How
okay.
awesome it would be if
actually.
he brought out
I do think
Obama's
that.
gay lover
In
on stage
the day
right
after
now,
the
in
midterm
interview.
elections in 2018,
That would be a real twist in the narrative.
Antifa came to my
What's
house.
that guy's name again?
The Democratic Party's militia.
I forget what
I
his
was at
name
work.
was. We
It was
probably
obvious
shouldn't
when I was
say
at
it. He
work.
threatened to
It was
sue the
public.
Bulwark
No,
when
no,
we
no.
when we wrote about the fact that it wasn't true
Terrorized her.
a couple months
She hid in
ago.
her pantry.
How would
It was
we
on
know?
television. It was horrible.
You know, were we in that
Just asking
limousine?
questions. Just
She was
asking.
getting
we
shot
in
in the
that
face,
limousine?
but it
I
wrecked
don't
our
know.
day.
I do remember chasing that story in
And
2008.
The next morning, we're lying in
Those
bed,
were the days.
and the phone rings from my wife, and it's Donald Trump, who's not like a regular text buddy of Donald Trump's. She picks it up. Hello? Susie, it's Donald Trump. And it's coming through. I could hear it. And I'm lying in bed. Whoa. And the first thing he says is, I'm going to stand guard outside your house. And she goes, oh, that's so nice. And he says, I'll never forget this as long as I live. He says, there's a lot of hate out there. And she said, there is, Mr. President. And then he says, but there's a lot of love. There's a lot of love.
Oh, God.
And we are seeing that love. I don't think it's human love. And I'll just stop with this. I'm not always convinced that I'm on the right side. I've been on the wrong side many times. You'll never hear me say I'm on God's
Yes, that's
side,
true.
or God's with me, or even I'm with God. I want to be, not sure I am. But I will say this unequivocally and conclusively. God is among us right now. And I think that's enough. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Golf General Manager, Trump National
Okay.
Doral,
All right.
Carrie
There you go.
Tomasco Ruiz.
I just love
What a
I love
convention.
we're going from Tucker Carlson to the Golf Pro. It's a fantastic lineup here, and the lineup is interesting. We've mentioned this, we hit briefly on this, but I am fascinated by it because it's Tucker Carlson who's done more than anything to turn politics into kind of a reality sport via Crossfire and his various projects. Then Hulk Hogan, a literal professional wrestler, I mean a sports entertainment figure, non-parallel. And then Dana White, who, UFC is a real sport, real combat, whatever, but it has a very reality-ish vibe to it. And it does feel, look, I think two things here. One, Trump is obviously playing to the folks that Mark Caputo highlighted in his newsletter earlier today, the kind of white male, lower education voter that the Trump campaign thinks is their base. but also just this idea of politics as entertainment. Like, this is a big fun party that we're having. Look at all of these fun people who you enjoy watching and having fun with, right? Like, that's the vibe of this thing.
I know they're going with that, and I know Sam said it was like a barbecue vibe there. I'm just like, I'm trying to get in the mind's eye of like my little brother's friends who like aren't into politics that much. Like, this kind of seems fun for politics. It still doesn't feel like it has quite reached fun. I don't know. Has there been any moment where somebody that like doesn't like politics, who's like a bro that like listens to the Nelk Bros and Theo Von's podcast and just likes to like vape and fucking hang out and watch MMA? Has there been anything in this that they would like find entertaining? I don't know. It felt a little stale.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's like kind of a risk here, right? Like, you can just appeal to these people who don't really vote all that often, and then you kind of want them to come out and vote for you. Doesn't always work. I have to contrast it with the fact that like George Bush is not here, the Romney's not here, the Cheney's not here, Mike Pence is not here. None of the main Fox.
The golf pro is here.
Yeah.
Nobody from any Republican ticket prior to Trump is here. But the golf pro is
and I think, and you can make the case like that's the type of audience you should have had here. Sorry, Don Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle walking right by me here. I'm gonna go say hi.
Yeah, let's have to Kim. Ask him about the communist thing. Ask her if she's figured out who we're fighting in World War II yet. I'd like to know if Kim knows who we were fighting in World War II. Hey, Kim. Hey, Kim.
Anyways,
hey, Kim, we're live on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she seemed a little bit confused about how the battle lines were drawn in World War II during her speech yesterday.
I remember that. All right, let me just. I'm going to leave you with something. I'm going to go in and I'll come back out. But I kind of agree with Tim. Like, if just going off of vibes and trying to make people who are not politically engaged in politics, you do run the risk that like those people don't always vote. And you know, Trump. I do keep coming back to the fact that like with all the insanity that's happened on the Democratic side of the ticket for the past month. I mean, literally everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. Like, I keep coming back to the idea that Trump maybe should be doing better. Like, he should be doing better. Doesn't mean he's not going to win. I just feel like if you're not separating more in this climate from Biden, that there are some flags I think you should be raising here.
I like that. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah. I'm going to leave you guys. I'll be back with some reporting. Okay.
Okay.
This is Tim. You sometimes when you're watching a basketball game. In the
feel
first
like you
half,
should be up 20 and you're only up 4.
Right. So in the first half, like one team goes 1 for 15 from the 3-point arc and turns the ball over, 9 times. The other team is shooting like, 55% from the field with no turnovers. And you get to like, they're just dominating them. Yeah. And you get to the half and they're up by like 7. You're like, oh, that's good. Like, it's really good to be up by 7. 7 points is a lot. But also that other team isn't going to go 1 for 13 in the second half, probably.
Right.
I mean,
I like that analogy. I'm with you. I mean, so on the one hand, a CBS poll had Trump at 52 today. And so, if you had been on the Bulwark live stream in February of 2021 and said, I'm from the future, Trump is at 52 on the ballot, I would be like, you're an insane person. That's not going to happen. So on the one hand, he is doing better than we would have once thought. On the other hand, he's literally running against nobody. I mean, like there is not a Democratic campaign happening, really. Like the other candidate just fell down on the debate stage and then has been unable to kind of offer a message since then. And now, obviously they're determining whether he's going to stay. So 52 is not that great against nobody. And it does. I think that you looked at it's obviously ridiculous and generic Republican or generic Democrat always beats a named candidate, but you just saw kind of like how elastic it is, like what the limits of the elasticity is, and like the polls that had generic Democrat versus Trump where he's at like 45, like that's just kind of that's just where we're at. It's like nobody's going below 45, nobody's going above 53. So,
well,
Tim, in the average, hold on 1 second. In the Real Clear Politics average, which is the friendliest average there is to Trump, he's at 47.7.
Right.
He's not over his 48. Like his ceiling historically, he has not gotten to 48% once in the average this entire time.
This is
I don't want to seem hopeful because I'm not, but
this is what I've been saying to you, JBL, constantly in DMs, right? Like Donald Trump still has a ceiling. It's about 47 to 48%. And depending on what happens with Biden or Harris or and also depending on what happens with RFK Jr. I mean, I have gone from thinking RFK Jr. was either a net wash or slightly hurt Donald Trump because he attracts a lot of the same crazy people to thinking that he actually really hurts Biden now. Because if you have a bunch of Democrats who are like, we need an alternative, I'm not voting, I have to vote, I'm not voting for Trump, I can't vote for Biden because he is not there. So I guess I have to pull the trigger for RFK Jr. And like that's, I think that's kind of where the race is right now. So I still think, look, once again, you look at the polls, he is still right at that 47, 48%, whatever this 52% head-to-head number that he put up today. I don't necessarily buy, but
it was
whatever.
A single CBS poll.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of this comes down to what happens with Joe Biden here in the next few days. If he steps down, if there's like a little mini convention, if they push it to Harris, whatever. Until we have a better sense of what the people who are going to be on the ballot will look like, we'll have a better sense of the polls.
Yeah, I had lunch with my friend Liz Smith today, who is charged by the Democratic National Committee with offensive operations against the third-party candidates. And so I'm speaking for myself now, not for her. But I just, after that conversation, kind of listening to her and how they think about it, I definitely came to the conclusion that RFK hurts Biden right now, right? And maybe that changes if Biden gets off the ticket. Maybe it changes. It's different. So there were some people, my old boss, Sean Spicer, this morning on Newsmax or on some fucking thing, some crazy feed, said that he thinks that RFK is going to endorse Trump tonight. I don't think so. I think that would have leaked by now if that was true. And Sean Spicer's not exactly a reliable source of news. But I think that would actually, if RFK did drop out and endorse Trump, I think that would counterintuitively help the Democrats at this point because it would take an off-ramp off the table.
I think I agree with that. Can we just do 2 minutes on Tucker's speech?
Yeah.
So I was taking notes on this, and Tucker is a friend, I guess. Although we don't talk much. That was nearly openly fascistic, and that the view of
what was short of the fascism for you? Where did it fall short of fascism?
He's the father of the land.
He's the great father. He is the avatar of the people. The leader is the bravest man, and when the leader governs according to the wishes of the people, that is the true democracy, which is different from the votes and the bills that people pass and the
systems,
the elections that they have,
machines.
And he does what he does
was
because
father of the
he
land
loves
a real
the people.
quote in that speech?
No, well, he said
he talked about it. He is our father,
he's
the great
father.
Yeah,
the
he talked about how he does what he does because he loves the people. This is literally how fucking Kim Jong-un talks about, right? We must do this because this dear leader loves the people so much. And the idea that democracy isn't about votes and that it's just this great father figure who only does what he does because of his great love for us. And if it hurts us, then so. I mean, what the fuck? I do not believe that anybody who has run for the presidency as a Republican in our lifetimes would have subscribed to that view of what the office of the president is. The office of the president is many things. It is a national figurehead. It is the chief executive. It is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. It is
the head of one branch of three.
One branch of three. It is not as a spiritual folk leader who is the true divination of the will of the people. I mean, that is fucked up.
That is fucked up. And
am I reading too much into this?
No, you don't. And
no,
I want to get to Sonny.
Carlson,
Gator Doc, I'm coming for you in a minute. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Tucker just went to Russia and gave Vladimir Putin a fucking blowjob for a whole week of shows on his Twitter thing. So I'm not surprised he is, at the very least, fascist curious. But no, I think you're. It was there was a lot going on in that speech. If you broke down just sentence by sentence, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on there.
And he's worked on it. Tucker is good at this because I've now gone to a couple of these events where he does this kind of like fake off the cuff thing, where he reads the show, he reads the stage notes. Where he's like, since I don't have a speech here, since I'm just going
he's
right
the
off
Robert
cuff.
Downey Jr. of these things, right? I mean, every line that Robert Downey Jr. recites sounds like an ad lib.
Yeah,
that's what Tucker's gift is.
Yeah, he is good at that. The guy. So I'm just really quick to Gator. I'm getting dunked on in the comments for Gator. I was like, nice resume, Sean Spicer is your boss. Yeah. I had a horrible resume. Granted, yeah. Sean Spicer was once my boss. I'm owned. I'm very owned. It was a very embarrassing moment in my life. Sonny's had some embarrassing bosses too, by the way. Okay, as an aside, the Tucker thing for me, I'm interested in JVL's take as a man of God because I'm a lapsed Catholic. And so I don't know if it's the secular part of me or the cradle Catholic part of me, but like the leader touched by God, hand of God stuff, it like makes me a little uncomfortable. And I know that's not totally outside of the American tradition. It was certainly something that we talked about, how presidents were talked about at one time. But in the modern times, I don't know. It does feel like how you merge the weird parts of Christian nationalism with the kind of cultural Christian nationalism. And it makes me a little uncomfortable, but I don't know. Is that too much? I felt a little chastised because I had a reader or a listener who was, and I take feedback, and I had a listener who's a believer who replied to me like with a comment and said, "How do you know that God didn't intervene for Trump?" I guess I don't know. That's true. And so I respect people's religious views. But in this context, paired with the fascism, paired with the having the weirdos doing the Christian agenda at the Heritage Foundation, in the back rooms of the Heritage Foundation, it's a little creepy for me.
So I, am a Catholic, still a Catholic, once now and always. And this stuff is all alarm bells. The actual Christian view is that God is involved in all of this stuff and that his ways are mysterious and beyond human ken. And so you have, why is there suffering in the world? Why would a benevolent and loving God allow suffering and evil in the world? And the answer is because it is all beyond our ken and we can't know it. And so to go and take credit for, this means God is on our side because we got this thing. That's crazy. That's a crazy thing. And veering on the blasphemous. Because I don't know. So God wasn't on his side in 2020 when he lost the election. Is that what the corollary is? But now he's on his side. But then if he
or was it on the side of the guy that got killed, or was he a martyr?
Right,
because that was part of God's plan.
Yeah.
He wanted to have a martyr for MAGA.
Yeah, no, this is all. It's blasphemous and disgusting, and Christians who fall for this stuff, it's disturbing. But it's show. I mean, the thing about Christian nationalism is that the Christian is the modifier, not the nationalism, right? The nationalism is the noun. It's just nationalism that happens to have this paint over it. And that's what's happening to American Christianity, is it's becoming this weird politicized, not even religion. It's very bad. Sorry.
Do you guys do any Biden chatter before I got on?
No, let's do it.
Not much.
Seems
Where
like
do
it's
things
happening.
stand? Tim, what have you heard about Joe Biden? Is he still president?
Seems like it's happening. Seems like it's happening. Yeah, I don't. Obviously he's isolating with COVID, and so everything is coming out. Kind of like when choosing a new pope. we're kind of waiting for the smoke a little bit here to continue our religious metaphors. But just the nature and tone of what we're hearing from people. I've been receiving texts from people that are closer than me to Biden world, and it does seem like maybe he's not made a final decision, but that he is zeroing in on the decision.
Did anybody write on the Monday after the debate that Biden's position was untenable and that the Democratic Party would decide to replace him, and that he would
sound...
Did that ring any bells?
That doesn't sound
Monday.
It's certainly nothing that Sarah read.
The debate was on a Thursday, and then on Monday, somebody wrote that it was clear that Biden's position was untenable.
Well, let's stop taking victory laps before you're through the end. I will tell you this because I'm here in New York and I've been at MSNBC all week.
Hey, me too.
I know you haven't come out and said hi. The MSNBC hallway chatter is entirely on who Kamala is going to pick for VP. If you want a sense for what the MSNBC high command is about, almost every hallway conversation I had with all of your favorite hosts, who I would never out my private conversations with them, but they're very interested in that discussion. And if that gives you a sense for kind of where people in the know feel things are.
Can I preview tomorrow's newsletter?
Yeah.
Please.
Let the people know.
Fetterman. I just want you all to sit. Everybody's like, oh, Whitmer, oh, Shapiro. I want everybody to just sit for just a few minutes and think about John Fetterman versus J.D. Vance as the authentic tribune of the working white class. You tell me.
But JBL, doesn't that create another brain problem for the ticket? You're swapping spots, and you're the one who's always said. You're the one who's always said that the stroke kills his chances of ever being president. Doesn't it also?
But not vice president. No, I don't think so.
Okay. I feel like there's going to be a lot of attention paid to this vice presidential pick if she is the replacement nominee.
Just think about it. I'm not saying this is not a JVL is always right prediction. I'm just saying I want you guys to all.
This isn't your lock of the week. This isn't. You don't have a big
lock. For my real
this isn't
lock,
your shoe-in of the week.
Call in the 1-900 number, and that's where I give you my money locks.
Exactly. You got to pay an extra $49.99 to get the lock of the week. I love the idea of Fetterman standing next to JD on stage. I think that's delicious, and I look forward to sharing your article. To me, I think that it is three people. It is and it is Chris Murphy, it is Mark Kelly, or it's Josh Shapiro. I think that's basically the list. I know people are talking about Bashir. I want to watch some videos of Bashir. I think that Kamala would need a wingman who, and I say wingman, and I want to come back to the possibility of having it be a wing woman. But I think she needs a wingman who's very strong in communication. And can go out there and play the attack dog role that a VP traditionally does. That was tough for Kamala to do for a variety of reasons. I think that Shapiro could do it. I think Chris Murphy would be quite good at it. I think Pete would be quite good at it, but we can't have any gays. Sorry, Pete. And I don't think Mark Kelly would be that good at that. So that's my mark against him. But that's balanced out by the fact that he's an astronaut. People like astronauts. And
nobody
his
went
wife
to
was
the new
shot.
astronaut movie.
And he already debated Blake Masters, who's like a pretty good stand-in for JD Vance. So he's kind of like has his head there on how to debate nationalist weirdos. So that's why that's my top three list. But go ahead, Sonny.
Tim, does he also help in Arizona with turnout for the race against Kari Lake? I mean, is that another kind of hey, here's a good reason to have him on the ticket.
I think so. And I think Arizona is kind of that next state after the blue wall that's the most likely one to get for Democrats. And he outperformed Katie Hobbs on the ballot in the midterm. And so he's sturdy. You can't, if you're worried about Kamala I don't think this actually, I think she's underrated on this point, but something people say in focus groups and when you hear from people is lightweight, right? It's like it's hard to be like the astronaut man who's been in the Senate is a lightweight. Like it kind of fills a Cheney-ish, a non-evil Cheney-ish role, I think. So I like that. I like Murphy. Shapiro, I like. My Shapiro gambit is if you're picking Shapiro, you have to keep it a secret for a month. He shows up day 3 of the convention because we don't want Hamas protests at the convention. That's really, to me, Shapiro's a slam dunk, except for he might reignite the Israel-Palestine thing, which is what you don't really want to do right now. And then the woman-on-woman thing, I had a moment last night where I was about to fire off a hot take that I think that she should just pick a woman and double down on abortion and these sexist old men. The problem with that is, man, Democrats are still really struggling with men who should be Democrats. Black, brown, younger men.
Those people are going to have their concerns anyway. Double down on it. Don't be ashamed of it.
So you think woman could work?
No, I'm not saying that they should, but this is what it intrigues me. You know, somebody in the comments said this in passing, but once I thought about it for 5 seconds, I'm like, if you want an attack dog who can talk, why not Gavin?
I don't think he would do it. I don't think he'd take that spot.
I also
he thinks
think
he's the next president.
Yeah, and I also think you own all of California's baggage. Then it's just like
you're
taking on all. You have a double California ticket, a double San Francisco ticket, even.
Yeah.
You know, I just think you're carrying a lot of California baggage there. Yeah, I mean, Amy. I kind of like the idea of Amy. If you're in a woman, people go straight to Gretchen Whitmer. Amy would be another name I'd throw in there. Amy Klobuchar, but to me, you keep going round and around, and you just keep coming back to Shapiro. Honestly, Bashir.
He makes the most sense.
Everybody Bashir, a lot of Bashirs in the comments I'm seeing, and I'm open to it. It's just like he needs to be able to perform. I need to see it. I got to go watch some Bashir videos. Is going to be my homework this weekend because the people I know who know him think that he's a little nebbish and it's just like once you lose. I mean, he is in Kentucky. He is a Nepo baby. What's the nicer way of saying Nepo baby?
Right.
A legacy. So his name means something in the state, and and it's a lot of person to person thing. He's done very well at about very parochial interests in various parts of the states, traditional Republican parts. It's just like, does that translate to a national campaign? Like, I don't know, not really. I don't think, but I'm open to maybe. So there you go. That's my list.
Is Shapiro mean enough? He's such a nice guy. Does he have like a hard enough edge to do the
good question.
The stuff which needs to get done?
It's a good question. I don't know. We've got some Pritzkers in the comment section. I got to tell you, if that fat man was the governor of any state except Illinois, I would be for that. I think that'd be a good sturdy pick. But it's kind of like the Gavin thing. It's like, you're really going to carry Chicago baggage into this campaign?
Yeah.
You want the main goal here by having Biden step aside. What are you gaining? Okay, besides a presidential candidate that can speak, you're also gaining the opportunity to make the campaign about Donald Trump again, right? And so you don't want to pick you don't want to replace the ticket with another ticket that has some fundamental flaw that makes it a choice again, right? You want to make it about Donald Trump again. And I worry about that with Pritzker and Newsom.
Oh, I see Bill Kristol's alt is in the comments saying it should be McChrystal or McRaven.
Actually, talk to Bill Kristol about that today. He's not so sure. He doesn't.
Thank you, Phil 23. Phil 23.
I'm telling you, Bill Kristol. I spoke to Bill Kristol about this very suggestion today, and he disagrees. And then I've also heard this could be totally. We're on a YouTube live stream, so this is not real reporting here. I'm just going to throw it out there. But I've had 2 separate people tell me that an emissary floated the idea to Cuban, and that Cuban said, my Oppo file is worse than Trump's. Okay, that could be totally make up. I have no idea if that's true or not. That could just be an old wives' tale getting passed around green room to podcast bro to podcast bro. I don't know. But anyway, that was the non-traditional. He could do the attack dog part. So if only he was a little bit more on the straight and narrow, but I don't think so. There's Cuban unbeatable. I kind of agree. I mean, I like it, and and then isn't it kind of our job to mention Liz Cheney? Isn't that Sonny's job? Sonny, isn't that your job to throw Liz Cheney on the ticket?
Yeah, it should definitely be Liz, or maybe Adam. One of the two. You know, they can Adam Kinzinger. We can get them in there.
All right, are you ready for your brain to be broke? What about Mitt?
Sure.
He's already run.
That's not West Wing. That's not West Wing.
That is sturdy. That is stable. You can go to Wisconsin with Harris and Mitt.
Terrible idea. That's even worse than the two women on the ticket, which is also not a good idea. I'm very firmly opposed to the two women on the ticket idea, not because of sexism, though there is that. Other people's sexism, not my sexism. Other people's sexism.
Yeah, I just fundamentally come down to like, okay, putting aside all the personalities and everybody's feelings about Joe and Kamala and whatever, like the purpose of a switch, candidate skills, but like if you're talking about the voters you're trying to get, who are you trying to get that you can change poll numbers with? And it's like Democratic coalition voters, young voters, black voters, brown voters who are dudes, and Brian Kemp, Raphael Warnock voters who are dudes. That's like that's college educated Republicans, right? Right. That's a good John Fetterman pitch. And so it's like if the main people you're worried about are dudes, and it really is, you're trying to narrow the gender gap a little bit, then doing the double woman thing feels not smart.
Yeah, I mean, Biden even now is winning women like 70-30 or something, or single women 70-30 or something like that, right? Like it's crazy numbers.
Did you guys clock all?
I don't think they'd like that. Those voters would like Mitt. Kate, I do not think those voters would like Mitt. By the way, that was a joke. Okay, sorry, go ahead, JB.
Now, did you guys? I wrote about this a week or two ago. Trump's greatest demographic strength on marital status is divorced men. Isn't that kind of nuts? And once you think about it for 5 seconds, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
So are there any divorced Democratic guys? Are there any Democratic polls with divorced dad energy? Eric Swalwell kind of gives off divorced dad energy. I don't think he is divorced, but I'm just trying to think of like who?
Isn't Cuomo divorced?
Andrew Cuomo does give off divorced dad energy, actually.
He gives off a lot of that vibe.
Boy, does he.
I don't think Harris Cuomo is
don't think that's a good ticket, Frank.
I think that would be a mistake. I do think that would be a mistake. Yeah. Okay, we'll just keep noodling on it. I feel like they haven't had any speakers in a while.
Hey, you know what?
This band has been playing for a long time.
I'm sorry. Can we do 30 seconds of absolute fan fiction?
Harris Beto. I like where your head's at. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I love Beto.
The 30 minutes of fan fiction, or 30 seconds of fan fiction, is that Donald Trump gets 20 minutes into his speech and Biden puts out the statement saying he's going to withdraw from the race and we'll be giving a statement, we're making his formal announcement on whatever. And it's the visual of all of these Republicans on the floor pulling out their phones in the middle of Trump's speech and starting to the murmur in the crowd. And that would be kind of amazing. It would be a ball. Like if you're going to do it anyway and everybody's already talking about it, why not just throw that grenade into the literal middle of Trump's
bad metaphor
convention speech?
I don't know.
Terrible idea.
If he's going to do it, I think he should do it now. Here's my fan fiction. My fan fiction is Joe Biden stays in the race and squeaks out an electoral college victory while losing the popular vote by 1 million votes, and everybody loses their mind all over the place. It's the funniest possible outcome. The funniest possible outcome is Joe Biden staying in, losing the popular vote, and still winning the electoral college by like 10 or 15 votes. That if that happens, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened in American politics.
All right, Tim, you're a campaign guy. Tell me what you think of my idea.
I think it's silly.
Okay. Fair.
I mean, it's for Twitter. It's for political obsessives, right? Like, because nobody else will notice or care really. Like when the timing was. I think that if Joe Biden gets out, he needs to give us a John Meacham speech about why he's getting out and explain it and put it in some context and have some historical heft to it and not.
I hear that's happening.
That's what somebody says. I don't know. We'll see. We need Meach. I'll tell you this. If you people think I'm creating my Twitter feed is crazy talking about the Biden situation, you should see my texts and my private conversations. All the content of everything is just the same, but the tenor and the amount and the volume is even greater. And I've just been running around to people going, Meacham. It's like, who knows Meacham? I was like, Meacham is the key. I was like, we've got to get Meacham to Rehoboth. You know, he's got to we got to get a little coffee table book of leaders throughout history who, you know, stood aside for the good of their people and how it helped their legacy. I always felt like that Meacham and Nancy could be the ones to seal the deal. That's edge, man. We can't do that right now. Al Franken, I also don't think is a good pick. But it's worth it.
Hey, we have a special
Shannon,
guest.
We're live.
Can you talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
we
gotta go.
Do some parenting.
You guys go keep talking.
Convention.
I've got to go do a tuck-in.
All right.
Hey.
It's still the band?
I think people are saying in the comments that that Hulk Hogan backed out, that there's not going to be a Hogan.
Oh, really? On Fox, I have Fox
on?
Business on the big TV, and they still have coming up Hulk Hogan across the bottom.
This band has been playing for like 20 minutes now. I don't understand what's.
It does feel long.
That keyboardist is really going at it. He's Professor Roy Bitton.
I wonder what the playlist is like. I did text Barry, our friend Adam Kinzinger, friend of the pod, did put out a prebuttal to Trump. I was trying to see if we can get that into the feed instead of the band, but I don't know if that's we'll see if that's possible. But Adam said, "Oh, look at that, Barry." Adam said, "Tonight you'll hear Donald Trump paint a dark vision and a false picture of his accomplishments. Let me tell you the truth." It's a little video. You can just see it on Adam Kinzinger's Twitter feed if we can't put it in here. I just gave it an RT. Hulk can barely talk for 10 minutes. This is very confusing. Well, Sonny, do you want to talk about movies? What else you got?
I'm skeptical of the astronaut argument because I'm telling you, there's a movie about astronauts in theaters right now. Nobody's going to see it.
Oh, here we go.
Nomination for the presidency.
Let's watch Adam.
Tonight, Donald Trump will be accepting the Republican nomination for the presidency of the United States. If you had told me 4 years ago that a twice impeached president who refused the peaceful transfer of power would once again be accepting his party's nomination, I wouldn't have believed you. Any objective individual knows that Donald Trump routinely lies. Those lies can vary. The crux of them have become predictable. And with that predictability, I'm going to preemptively share with you what Donald Trump will say tonight while accepting the Republican nomination. Donald Trump will portray America as a once great nation that has become weak, a country without borders. He'll claim that immigrants are flooding into America because no one finished his wall after he left office. And he'll portray himself as the only person who can secure the border. He'll make grandiose claims that under his watch, America had the greatest economy in history, and that since he left office, inflation is killing the American economy and destroying jobs. He'll paint a picture of an America overrun with crime, where criminals are allowed to do whatever they want while politicians attack police officers and fail to back the blue. He'll depict the blue-collar working class as the forgotten class, promising to fight for them and bring back their jobs. He'll claim we're on a path to World War III and that our standing in the world has diminished. And of course, he'll reference the 2020 election as being rigged and stolen. Simply put, he will paint a picture of carnage. He's going to try to scare you because Donald Trump wins on fear. He does not win on hope, optimism, or presenting a unified vision for America to come together and solve big challenges. The question every American should be asking, does Donald Trump's track record show he is capable of accomplishing these important goals? No. I've covered his lies, now I'll cover the truth. The truth is, while the border needs to be secured, Donald Trump is responsible for killing a bipartisan immigration bill that would have implemented the strongest border policies ever because he wanted to run on the issue of immigration for his own benefit and to the detriment of the American people. During Donald Trump's presidency, the American economy lost jobs. Under Reagan, Bush 41, Clinton, Bush 43, Obama, and now Biden, the American economy added millions of jobs. The truth is, 4 years ago, crime rates were higher. Today, crime rates are lower. 4 years ago, inflation was on the rise. Today, inflation's coming down. 4 years ago, America was losing jobs. Today, America's gaining jobs. 4 years ago, Trump got played by dictators. Today, America's allies once again trust us. 4 years ago, Trump failed to pass an infrastructure bill that would benefit blue-collar Americans and unions. Today, infrastructure is once again a priority, and trade unions are rebuilding our nation. 4 years ago, so-called forgotten counties in America were struggling economically. Today, they're adding jobs and recovering. As we look to November and beyond, remember the past. Remember the constant chaos of a Trump presidency. Remember how China's influence grew, how American farmers lost market share, how we lost jobs, how infrastructure was ignored, and how America's standing in the world was diminished. And remember how he lost a free and fair election and decided to attack our democracy. That's the truth. Is there still work to be done? Of course. But we can't go back to the past. America's best days are in front of us, not behind us. And when we all come together as Americans, there is nothing we cannot accomplish.
Fascinating. We've had some updates, Sonny. Great job, Adam Kinzinger. Fascinating Fox News Chiron update. We had Coming Up Hulk Hogan for a while the band played. Then it changed to Coming Up Donald Trump. And now it's changed back to Coming Up Hulk Hogan. So you're on mute, I think.
They are technically both still coming up, so that's not inaccurate.
Oh, I guess.
We would be remiss if we don't plug the live show that Adam Kinzinger is going to be at for the Bulwark Live. We're going to be in Dallas, my adopted hometown. It's going to be fun. You will be there. I will be there. Adam
September 5th. September 5th. thebulwark.com/events. People should get tickets. We have another news item. Now we're coming up Eric Trump. Yeah, who knows? Something is going on. Philip Bump says something's going on. The band was not supposed to play for this long. This is not a Donald Trump show. Usually, say what you want about Trump, but they at least, he can do a Vegas show. Maybe not Vegas, an off Vegas, a Reno show.
Has Dana White talked yet either? I mean,
no. I think he's the introducer of Trump.
Oh, okay.
There's Trump behind the backstage. Really quick, Robert Costa. Sources close to President Biden tell me tonight they're furious that while the president is trying to recover from COVID in Rehoboth, a pressure campaign keeps picking up speed. Lots of anger towards donors for talking of money drying up if he doesn't quit, towards what they see as muted support from President Obama, and towards Dem leaders who one source says are hiding behind statements. If they want him out, they'll have to push, source adds. He feels disrespected, still a fluid moment, and no one has figured out an effective way to quiet this drift of nervous Democrats away from Biden, and no, many Dems want Biden to just break at some point soon. I got to tell you, go ahead.
I am less certain that JVL is that he's going to get to take his victory lap on this. And I have been look, Joe Biden's whole life has been a little voice in his head saying, I should be president. And defeating that voice is what you have to defeat. And that's hard to do. That is hard to do. No matter how bad things look, he still, still thinks he has it. So
we have our first Javanka appearance, maybe of the whole campaign. I guess Jared was at the announcement, I remember. But this might be the first Ivanka appearance of the whole campaign, at least that I can think of. I'm not sure about JVL too. I go back to your funniest solution. Joe Biden resisting the push of the elites, stumbling forward with the campaign, having another debate. I don't know, who knows what that would look like. And
He'd have to.
Yeah, and then squeaking out a 270 to 267 thing, that would really be something. Okay, let's listen to Hulk Hogan.
You gotta take a stand, you don't have to hide. If you hurt my friends, then you hurt my pride.
I really wish I could explain this to me as a 8-year-old.
I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right.
I should think about oiling myself up like that sometimes. It's a nice look.
I don't know about that.
You don't think that'd work for me?
I mean, maybe.
Ooh, Hulk's looking rough. Sunglasses on the bandana. I don't know if the crowd knows about the cue there. I don't know if there are enough elder millennial WWE fans.
Once again, if you could time travel me to this.
I was more of an Ultimate Warrior man myself.
Oh, come on. Hulkster was great.
You know something? When I came here tonight, there was so much energy in this room. I felt maybe I was in Madison Square Garden getting ready to win another world title. Or maybe I thought...
It's an imaginary title.
It was so intense. The energy was so crazy.
There's a belt and everything.
It felt like maybe I was going to press that no-good, stinky giant over my head and slam him through the mat, brother.
This is pretty strange. We're in character. This is not Terry speaking. It's Hulk.
No, this is. I mean, this is exactly what I expected it to be.
At the end of the day,
you expected Andre the Giant shit talking?
I expected him to be Hulk Hogan, and that is what he is. It's two WWE Hall of Famers talking to each other here, man.
Yeah. We've got more bad news. Historian John Meacham. The report about me doing anything with the speech is totally false.
But you know something? I see the greatest tag team of my life standing upon us, getting ready to straighten this country out for all the real Americans. You know, even though you guys are real Americans, you better get ready. Because when Donald J. Trump becomes the president of the United States, all the real Americans are going to be nicknamed Trumpites. Because all the Trumpites are going to be running wild for 4 years.
What do you got with Trumpomaniacs?
Yeah, Trumpomaniacs. I also think... Shouldn't he be an anti-hero, the RNC? Shouldn't he be an NWO, Hulk Hogan?
No.
It's going to be great again.
You can't do the NWO Hulk Hogan here. You got to go take your vitamins, say your prayers.
When I look out and I see all the real Americans, I think about how Donald Trump, his family was compromised. When I look out there and I see Donald Trump, I think about how his business was compromised.
It's a very big cross he's wearing for somebody that's... The sex tape was
at my hero.
Not exactly in Christian virtue.
And they tried to kill the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
This is scary, I think.
Yeah.
This is a little weird. We're in the uncanny valley for me.
You know something, Trumpites? I didn't come here as Hulk Hogan.
Did they test Trumpites?
I don't know, man. Trumpites sounds too much like Deadites.
My name is
Termites.
And as an entertainer,
so now it's Terry.
And as an entertainer, I tried to stay out of politics. But after everything that's happened to our country over the past 4 years, and everything that happened last weekend, I can no longer stay silent. I'm here tonight because I want the world to know that Donald Trump is a real American hero. And I'm proud to support my hero as the next president of this United States. You know, guys, I've known Donald Trump for over 35 years. You know, hold on a second. Hold on. I just had a flashback.
President Camacho.
Man. This is really tripping. You know, the last time I was up on stage, Donald Trump was sitting at ringside at the Trump Plaza. I was bleeding like a pig, and I won the world title right in front of Donald J. Trump.
It wasn't a real world title. I hate to keep kind of sticking on that, but we're not in the WWE universe right now. We're in the real universe here.
Tim, I'm sorry. I really hate to do this, but it's a real. There's a belt and everything. It's gold. It's a championship. It exists.
And he's always been the biggest patriot, and he still is. He's always told you exactly what he thought.
Sam, can you go back in the arena and see what people think about Trumpites?
And no matter the odds, he always finds a way to win. And when he's back in our White House, America is going to start winning again.
How did we lose our audio?
What happened to the Hulk?
We lost
Brother, when the largest arms in the world come for you, what you gonna do?
Pretty good, JVL.
JVL, does this hurt you though, as a wrestling aficionado? Does it pain you to have Donald Trump co-opting your pastime?
I've been in the ring
co-opting.
with some of the biggest,
So here's the
some
thing:
of the baddest dudes on the planet.
wrestlers
and
are
I've
just
squared off
carnies.
against warriors. Ooh, yeah,
Donald Trump is a carny. This is all about looking for marks. It's the most obvious partnership in the world. Of course.
This is what I was saying when you were gone. They are both WWE Hall of Famers. This is what he wants to be seen as, the greatest entertainer, the guy who gets the crowd on his feet.
What's the chances he presents Trump with a belt?
And he's still
Championship belt. I think it's pretty high.
Here's what I want to know: is he going to rip off the shirt?
He already ripped off the shirt to reveal this shirt.
Oh, he did. Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Yeah.
We took off his jacket.
And he ripped off his shirt. He ripped off the shirt to reveal the shirt.
Yeah. He had a little trouble with the last threads. Hey guys, I have some reporting that you wanted when you're ready for it.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Okay, so we did unscientific surveys, 1 to 10. 1, deep worry that Trump will not win. 10, absolute certainty that Trump will win.
We had strong borders.
Yeah.
We had safe streets.
All right, New York delegation, we got 4 10s, 1 12. Alabama delegation, 2 10s, 3 11s. Illinois, we got a 12. Pennsylvania, we got 3 10s, 1 9. That was the only 9. And 1 11. Oh, sorry. Colorado did have a 9 because in case it was stolen. That's why there was no 10 there.
Yeah.
And then in New Hampshire, we get 2 10s. In Tennessee, we got an 11 and a 10. Most people don't believe Biden will be the nominee. Actually, most people think that if the Democrat does win, it will be fair, except for a handful of people who think it might be stolen, including a poll watcher from Alabama who says that she personally has seen undocumented voters come in and cast ballots. Jubilation in the crowd, I will say. Congo lines, like literal. The Texas delegation with their cowboy hats waving it back and forth. And Hulk had an incredible welcome. Russell Brand walking the floor, taking selfies with everyone. It is festive in there. So that's my unscientific survey.
Russell Brand is really in touch with reality as well. I mean, this is not a very grounded evening, I wouldn't say.
No, it's not. But they all basically are convinced that it's in the bag. To JVL's point, it is. There's not any doubt in the room.
They are up by 3 points in the polling average against a candidate who hasn't been able to speak in coherent sentences. I mean, that's not totally fair. I understand I'm exaggerating slightly. But does anybody else look at this and say, these are danger signs flashing at the country?
Yes, I do.
I mean, I don't want to be Debbie Downer here. It's kind of a problem.
Especially if Biden stays in, by the way, especially if Biden stays in and wins. And Sonny's funniest scenario, the funniest scenario could turn to the scariest. Because while you were doing bedtime, also, JVL, Robert Costa reported Not to take anything away from your reporting there, Sam, which was very, very critical. But Robert Picasso reported that the man that was coming to save us, my white and shining armor, Meacham denying that he is working with Joe Biden on a speech, and Joe Biden's staff saying he's angry about the leaks and he's recovering from COVID. So anyway, JVL, you were trying to take a victory lap already and about that, or maybe not you, whoever it was that wrote that article about how Biden's position was untenable. But Franklin Graham, is this our first religious speaker?
Yes.
Do you think Franklin Graham has watched Hulk Hogan's sex tape? I wonder what he would think about that.
It's an interesting 1-2 punch right there. Yeah. Not a cohesive narrative arc with these speakers, to say the least.
Take your vitamins, say your prayers.
I think what they should have done with Hulk. Are you ready for this, JVL? What's it called? What's the wrestling term for like when you sell a hit? When you sell
Well, it's called selling.
It's selling. Okay.
Selling.
I think the thing to do would have been to have Trump come out from behind Hogan from the stage and do like a thing where he fake body slams him and where Hogan goes down and like starts flopping on the ground and comes up and he's like, "He still got it, brother. He still got it."
Which would have been especially funny because
again,
only 2 people listening to this will understand this. But because Hulk Hogan was famous for no selling his opponent's moves. This is one of the reasons people hated working with him in the ring, because he would no sell and he would suck away the heat and take away the heat that his opponents had and the heat that they'd been working to build up for their match with Hogan. He did not do a great job of putting people over there.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why they didn't
Franklin
do that.
Graham. I mean, this guy just looks like an absolute on the level man of God. I mean, I look at him, I don't even need to hear the sound. I just think to myself, yep, that guy right there.
He loves Jesus.
Look,
he
it's
loves
a righteous
Jesus
gemstones.
so much.
This whole sequence is a righteous gemstones.
It really is.
Like the wrestler, followed by the preacher, followed by Dana White, and then Donald Trump. It's amazing. I'm sorry. It's really wonderful.
Kate thinks he looks like oh, I thought he said he looks like a sharp. He looks sharp. I guess. I don't know. The hair just okay for me.
It looks fine. They're giving away some Trump books. Speaking of righteous gemstone stuff, they're giving away some Trump letters from Trump books for free out here. So there's some memorabilia that's being distributed. I'm waiting for Danny McBride to show up, do a little imitation. But
be amazing.
That'd be awesome.
Be amazing.
Oh, you
failed. Just to talk about the Shapiro concerns from earlier, failed Texas Republican Party chairman candidate Matt McCowiak has sent out a message on X, a quote X of mine, letting me know that the party of Hamas is not nominating a Jewish governor. So I don't know if that's anti-Semitism or just projecting anti-Semitism. I don't have a verdict on that, but there you go. That's about that. I guess that would be the opening bit. I think that'd be kind of a winner, sort of daring the Republicans to make that attack. But what do I know? I'm not Meacham, so I don't really have any control over the situation.
Why do we think Meacham is controlling everything?
Here's why. Thanks, Sam. Welcome back. I'm sorry for the live streamers who've already heard this. I apologize, but it's important just for Sam to hear.
Yes.
The way to get, as JVL was talking about, in wrestling, you have to get somebody over. You have to get Biden over. How do you get Biden over the hump? And I think the way to do it is Meacham going to Rehoboth and presenting him a historic PowerPoint about all of the great leaders that stepped aside and how that burnished their legacy. And I think Biden cares about that. If we could get Doris Kearns Goodwin also to attend, I think that would be useful.
Yeah, there was a joke going on among the press corps that the only way to reach Biden.
Guys, Donald Trump is praying. That's what it looks like. Look at him praying. That's his prayer face.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the joke, Sam?
The joke is that the only way that Biden's going to decide to quit is if Douglas Brinkley and Michael Beschloss go on Morning Joe and say, "Look, history is not on your side."
Yeah, Michael. Okay, so I do got to say, I love all these people, so don't take it personal, Douglas. Michael Beschloss, I think we got to get there. I want Doris. I want Michael. I want Meacham. Douglas, I don't think Douglas is the right fit for this job. Okay, we need a three-headed monster. Beschloss, Kearns Goodwin, Meacham. Who can do that? Who can call them into service? Do we have an emissary?
Not me.
Franklin is still talking, huh?
They're praying.
He's not talking. He's praying.
Yeah, come on.
This is
the fact that we're talking over the prayer is also blasphemous. I mean,
it's sacrilege.
I love how JD's got his serious prayer face on. Like, yeah, I got to make sure that got to make sure it looks like I'm really praying, really communing with God. And Trump is just like,
JD gave a speech where he talked about how he used to be an atheist, and then I don't know, maybe around the time he was running for office, not sure. He came back to the religious faith, and that he feels like being an atheist is condescending.
He had a lot of changes of heart when he decided to run for office. It's interesting. It's as somebody who read his book and thought it was really interesting, and as somebody who read his columns for the Atlantic about Donald Trump and everybody else, and kind of watched him go to work before he decided to run for office. His evolutions have been fascinating.
Did you see that? Really are. Did you see the Olivia Nuzzi throwback to when she interviewed Trump like 3 years ago or something, 2 years ago at JD? And she asked him. He was endorsing JD around the time of the interview, and she was like, "Did you ever read his book, Hillbilly Elegy?" And Trump said, "Oh yeah, I read it."
I read it a long time ago.
Yeah, she read it a long time ago. And then she followed up with like, "Oh, what'd you think about it?" And it was just like classic Trump.
You say very strong.
Yeah, very strong. Very strong.
He gave the answer. He gave the answer that I always give when somebody asks me if I've seen like an old Fellini movie. Like, back in college.
Yeah.
Many years ago. Really good. Really stuck with me.
All right.
Well, that was like when he was asked what his favorite Bible verse was. All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
Deuteronomy. All right, the dumbest Trump is up, Barry. Let's listen to him.
I'll see it.
New haircut for
Good
Eric.
evening, America. "8 years ago, my father sat our family down. He spoke of a nation in decline, of dreams slipping away, of a future endangered by failed leadership and broken promises. It was in that moment I knew my father had made a decision that would forever change our lives. We realized he had chosen to step into the arena, to fight for the soul of America. He decided to leave behind the comforts of an unbelievable business empire, to leave behind everything he had ever built, to answer the call to serve our nation. Unlike his predecessor, it was not a decision born out of necessity. Unlike the current president, it was not a decision that would enrich his family. Rather, it was a decision made out of love for this country and a deep concern for America's future."
What was the necessity line? Who ran out of necessity? Obama?
Is he talking about Obama or Biden? I think predecessor is the wrong word. I think he.
"My father was clear it would not be easy, that there would be a huge price to pay, and that the attacks would be vicious." Looking back, that was an understatement. The made-up Russia hoax, the sham impeachments, the efforts to destroy an unbelievable company, a company that I run today, the efforts to cancel us, to silence him, to gag his free speech, and to drag him through every radical left courthouse in America, to take his life. Yet through it all, he's shown unwavering courage and determination, not just in public, but in every private conversation with me and our family. He stood tall, fueled not by personal ambition, but by a profound love for this country and a love for all of you, the American people. That man is my father. That man is the 45th president and soon to be 47th president of the United States.
What do you think Eric Trump would be doing if his dad was like a accountant? Kind of like a Best Buy manager? What do you think would be a career path for him? in a different world.
Mater D.
Well, maybe I think maybe I could see him as like a real estate agent in like outer Tampa.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like a real estate agent in a low to mid market.
Each time I've stood on this stage, America has been at a dire crossroads. In 2016, many people began to doubt the promise of America. Our economy was struggling.
Big
Jobs
O
were
tire
scarce.
salesman.
Our
like
standing
that.
on the world stage was weak at best. Veterans were forgotten. Our military was in shambles. Our educational system was broken.
This is really boring. Can I say the Don Jr.
He could no
well,
longer
Sonny
tolerate
here.
an inept
The
administration
Don Jr.
that handed
Kendall
$150
from
billion
Succession
to Iran,
Energy
a
is
country
so
that chants
strong.
death
Like
to
sometimes I'm
America.
watching Don Jr. and I
witness
think
the
I'm watching
continued
Kendall.
attacks
Like I
on our
transpose them in my
Constitution
mind.
and our religious
sometimes.
liberty.
Does he?
Or
do you-
see
do you
the
imagine him saying
disrespect shown
he
to
is
our
the eldest
unbelievable
boy?
law enforcement
I do.
officers.
Has he not?
who are
Like,
being
like
disarmed,
if you did a
defunded,
quiz
and
for your newsletter
persecuted
next
each
week that
and
was like
every day.
Don Jr. or Kendall quotes, I would not get 100%.
Yeah.
I know that
We
I
can
would get
no
100%.
longer stand to see words like Christmas stripped from public use or the
Christmas.
Pledge of
Nobody
Allegiance
says
removed
Christmas
from our
anymore.
schools.
Christmas.
But my
That's a
father
throwback.
saw potential where others
while.
saw despair.
Deep pull. Eric.
Donald Trump built the New York City skyline. He did so during a time when businesses were turning away from the city he loved. Crime was rampant. The streets were dirty. But he had the Midas touch, and he turned those streets and neighborhoods into gold.
Midas touch YouTube.
He faced every challenge with tremendous vision and grit. As he did during the 2016 election, he rolled up his sleeves. He remained unapologetic. He did not care to be politically correct.
I do have to say, so on the Fox Business feed, you can't see it on when we're watching. Trump has as one of Eric's children sitting on his lap.
He restored
And
hope.
It is
He
definitely the
restored a voice
longest
to
I've ever
millions of
seen Donald
Americans who had
Trump
been
touch a
ignored.
child.
He restored
So they
the
really are
American
trying
dream.
hard on the softer Trump
Under
thing.
my father's leadership, the economy
yawning.
climbed to record heights. Jobs were created at an
She has a cute outfit
unthinkable
on.
pace.
I do have to say, she has this really
Unemployment
cute little
reached
French
historic
collar.
lows across all demographics. Wage growth soared. He cut taxes for hardworking families and businesses. He slashed regulations. We saw the greatest 401k increase in American history.
Donald's got to be sitting there being like, God damn, why did I pick Eric for
People
this night?
bought their first homes in an environment that saw 2 to 3% interest rates. They started their families. My father made the United States energy independent with the lowest gas
I
prices.
can also see Eric in a boiler room. You know, don't pitch the bitch.
My father made the United States safe. Our borders were closed. There was peace in the Middle East.
There she
Soleimani
is. Look at her little
al-Baghdadi, the
outfit. That's
terrorists
cute.
were dead.
Black Sand, stick with us. What's wrong?
My
What else you
father
got to
made the
do?
United States respected again. With the courage to walk into countries like North Korea, with the courage to impose tariffs on China, and with the courage to tear up trade deals that cost Americans their jobs. He brought manufacturing back to America. Small businesses flourished. He did what he promised. He put America first. We were winning. Donald Trump made America great again.
Ah, boy. Annuity salesman.
But he also created a movement.
That's
A movement that
Good
threatened
idea.
the special interest
He's got a
in the political
PowerPoint.
elites.
He's going to go through it.
A movement that cast a bright light on the
come for 2
institutions weaponized
You
against
train
the
with
American people.
Trump looks
You
as
see it in our
pained as
schools.
me from this
God
speech
bless
right
the
now
moms who
on the
fought
on the
back.
wide feed.
It's brutal. And this is once again. I will go back to my argument that the
You see it in your workplace. You see it on
Hogan,
every news station, in every
Carlson,
newspaper.
whatever
You
you
see
think
it
about
in the
this,
military. The
actual
most
content of
iconic
the speech.
military
He's an
installations on
entertainment
planet
speaker.
Earth
Dana
are
White,
stripped
like,
of their identity.
that
and
is what
renamed.
people want to watch.
Fort
Not
Bragg, Benning, Fort Hood.
gives a shit about
James.
You see it in Hollywood.
James,
You see it
there
in
are
our two-tier
grandmothers that
judicial
watch
system.
this feed
They don't
and
even
read the
hide it
comments.
anymore.
We don't need to be
My
learning
father
that
has been
Eric's penis
censored.
is
The
wider than
former
it is.
president ripped
That's
off
not
Twitter,
appropriate for the
Instagram,
feed.
and Facebook
I think people are done. Let's bury this. Is enough. We can't do anymore. We're not learning anything.
Yeah, we're
My
losing
father has
people.
been persecuted.
I could.
We're losing viewers here.
You're
Barry.
losing me. I'm out. I'd rather hear Sonny just kind of rank the different Yellowstone spin-offs than watch that.
I couldn't do that because I don't watch those shows. But
okay.
Sure.
Well, I was trying to just think of something I don't care about in the culture space.
Yeah.
And that was it.
This is a question I've never seen answered by anybody in MAGA. I've asked them. So Donald Trump made America great again, right? It was all things were great. And they're like, yeah, no, it was great. It was great. But since then, though, everything's been terrible, right? Yeah, no, it's terrible. It's terrible. So, like, the greatness that he did, it wasn't like a permanent greatness, right? It wasn't a stable greatness. I mean, what happens if he's elected again and he makes it great again, and then like somebody else gets elected after that? It's not. I mean, is there a permanent end state of greatness? And this is a lead in. So I slacked Sam and I said, Sam, my next question for you to ask people in the room, ask them if they would like Trump or if they think Trump should be able to run for a third term. That's
great.
Where all of this fatherland stuff goes. That's where all this, he's the great father who is the true voice of democracy. That's where it all goes.
That's a great point. I think Sam should ask that. I have a game for you guys, though. If you had to live the rest of your life, one of the Trumps was going to move in with you, and they were going to be with you from tomorrow until the day of your death. Which Trump would you invite into the family home with you?
Tiffany. Like slam dunk, right? Isn't she the most normal of all the Trumps?
She likes to party. Tiffany's a good pick. This is where the Don Jr. is Kendall thing is tricky for me, because Kendall would be my pick, but probably not Don Jr. But there's some good, like the coked up Kendall would be kind of a fun roommate. Yeah, I don't know. Melania, I really have come to dislike. Are any of the other ex-wives alive? Are they on the board? No, Marla's alive. I guess that doesn't really count, though. She's not a Trump anymore.
Yeah.
Definitely not Jared. Definitely not Lara. Definitely not Kim Guilfoyle. Barron, no. I think it's got to be Tiffany.
I think
who's the second pick? Okay, who's the second pick? It's so clearly Tiffany. Who's the second draft pick?
Well, I mean, I think Barron is actually a great choice because he would just hang out in his room all day. You would never see him.
Yeah, Gen Z doesn't.
He
really
clearly
talk.
has like the affect of a Twitch streamer, right? Like
Mary
that.
Trump. Yeah.
No, you can't take like
you
Mary.
Can't take
Trump.
Mary.
No, I'm sorry, that's cheating. What else? You know what? I mean, look, I gotta say it. I think living with Kimberly Guilfoyle would be fascinating.
It'd be the most entertaining.
Don't
Kai
you think?
Was cute. Somebody's thirsting over there. Two people are thirsting for Kai in the comments. Boy, I would take this cute little girl. I'll tell you that much. She looks sweet. She hasn't had a time to be corrupted by the family, by the family yet. It's tough. I don't know if I could go with Barron as my second choice. When you talk about the Volk, I have very deep concerns that Barron is kind of the hereditary heir.
Maybe it has to be Eric. No, I'm
Too
sorry.
stupid.
I said that. No, I meant Don Jr. I meant DJ.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the answer, right?
This is the worst question I've ever been asked. I want to think about it anymore.
Okay, Sonny, you're up next then. We can't listen to Eric.
I don't know.
Right? Nobody wants to listen to Eric. I don't want to listen to Eric. The commenters don't want to listen to Eric.
It's the worst. Can we get that band back out? That band that played for like an hour when they were trying to find Hulk Hogan? I don't.
Okay. I've got another parlor game for you. I was thinking about this yesterday. So on the who would you rather have a beer with question, of all of the people in Washington, bipartisan, Congress, Senate, Cabinet, is there anyone that you'd less like to have a beer with than JD Vance besides Ted Cruz? Who I was trying to think, like, how low is JD Vance list? Like, Ted Cruz is obviously the last person you'd want to have a beer with in all of Washington. Is JD like the fourth last? Like, how many people below him for you?
I'd rather have a beer with Ted Cruz than JD Vance, frankly.
Okay, so JD's at the lowest for you.
I find his whole affect very annoying. I just find him deeply aggravating. I don't know. That's a great question.
Gates would be fun. Gates has gossip. Gates has
the thing is, Gates would go to the bathroom and he'd come back and he'd be hyped up and ready to go. So, like, I feel like he'd be a lot of fun to talk to.
Gates is good with gossip.
You know what? Hold on. I want to defend MTG here because people are saying, like, MTG. I would actually rank MTG quite high on this list. Like, high and happy to have a beer with her. Because unlike all these other fuckers that we're talking about, she believes this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I respect that. I mean, I think it's crazy.
And she's crazy.
Everything.
But it's kind of like sometimes you meet a person at the bar and they're crazy and they're interesting.
Right.
It's interesting. Gosar is a good pick. I think some of our listeners won't like this. I think that there's some in the overly earnest lib category I was trying to think of. I'm just like, I just can't. All right. We're trying to have a beer here. I don't need you to talk to me about climate change. Sheldon Whitehouse. Maybe Sheldon Whitehouse might be like towards the bottom 5 or 6 for me. Nice. Seems like a fine guy. But I don't know that I want to have a beer with him. Jim Jordan would be pretty bad. My point is, it's like the point of the exercise is it's hard to come up with people that you absolutely would want to have a beer with less than JD Vance.
Yeah.
And that's not really a great trait in a vice presidential pick.
But he's supposed to be the attack dog. He's the right. He's like not the.
Is he hated by his colleagues as much as Ted Cruz is?
I don't.
The Joe Perticone question. We ought to ask Joe. I'm curious.
I don't know. Hawley's, I guess, pretty low as well.
Oh God! You know what?
Hawley might be below JD.
I think Hawley might be. No, you know what? Because at least Hawley is still like trying to make it work. He's still, on the making moves on the street. Vance just got that smug, self-satisfied.
Mike Lee is another one who would just be. No, I guess he probably doesn't drink. Does
He's Mormon, so you don't have to worry about that.
That would be annoying, though. I would add that on the annoying thing. He's having a milk. We have to sit there and listen to him.
Oh, Rick Scott. Boy, you know what? Boom. Whoever just said that, George Vargo, 100% Rick Scott.
That's a good pick.
Because he is not only like horrible, but terrifying. He looks like Slenderman.
Rick, you know why Rick Scott's a good pick? Because I would loathe sitting next to JD Vance for 30 minutes, but I could survive it. I can imagine myself having to leave the Rick Scott drink after like 16 or 17 minutes. It's like, you know what? I can't even make it through the allotted time.
Barry says Rand Paul.
I know Rand's interesting. Rand has a lot of weird niche interests.
Yeah,
so you can start talking about the
seasteading.
Rand is crazy, but he believes it. Again, it's a different kind of crazy than MTG, but he comes from that whole. I mean, look, all the Paulistas, the Paulites.
In fact, you know what? I'm going to say something now. Marjorie Taylor Greene. If the question is there any MAGA person in Washington, in Congress, who you would like to have a beer with more than Marjorie Taylor Greene? I can't think of anybody.
No, I think definitely Gates. Gates is just gonna like start. Gates might start showing you pictures of people that he slept with. I'd start you just don't know what you're gonna get with Gates. You know what I mean? I just think that
that's probably true.
I just think he's got to be first. Scott Perry, Lou, that's a good pick. I would not want to have a drink with Scott Perry. Cori Bush is not popular. I could survive 30 minutes of drinking with her, though. I do think that there's probably some like backbench Democratic people that are nice and earnest people that just, it'd be tough to do a whole 30 with them. I don't think Cori Bush fits that category, though.
Tim, somebody suggested Lindsey Graham. You've actually had drinks with Lindsey Graham?
Hours. I've spent hours.
Tell me all about it.
The most disappointing thing in the world, the most horrible thing in the world is what happened to Lindsey Graham, because he's maybe the best person in Washington to get drinks with. And I always did say that my always defense of Lindsey Graham when people were like, oh, he must be gay, is I was like, I got blackout drunk with Lindsey Graham. He never made a move on me. So maybe he's just not into me. Maybe he's into muscle gays. I don't know. But that's just a data point that you should consider. Because he was like 7 shards deep at least one night in New York.
I don't even know what that means.
You're not helping your case here.
It wasn't a Butch cocktail. That's good. But I mean, he was pounding Chardonnays and no sexual advances. All he wanted to do was gossip and talk about politics. He's hilarious. He has funny stories. Awesome.
You know what? Nancy Mace, also fantastic to have a beer with, because there's like with Matt Gaetz.
Hey, JVL, calm down. Does Shannon know about this?
You have no idea what's going to happen. You sit down and have a drink with Nancy Mace. It could go. She could show you pictures of Mike Kevin's ding dong, or you could wind up needing a restraining order.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? I mean, anything could happen.
How is Eric still talking? Donald,
oh my God!
JD
look
so
still
bored.
going on.
This is killing me.
Donald's closing his eyes. Donald and JD look
he's
bored
praying
right now.
That's his prayer.
JD, say what you want about JD, and we've said a lot of terrible things. He's not dumb. And so JD is how we feel about JD right now is what I can just read his head as I look at him is what he's thinking about Eric. He's like, could I survive 30 minutes with this person? Like, is this something I'm gonna have? Is he gonna corner me at a future Mar-a-Lago thing? Like, how am I gonna avoid him at fundraisers?
So I was having trouble sleeping the other night, and I was interrogating.
That's a good point, Stone. No Melania again tonight.
I was interrogating myself and trying to figure out why is it that I realized JD Vance was a heel as early as I did. Because when all of our friends, when David Frum and Bill Crystal, and we're all talking about how great this young JD Vance guy is, I was like, nope. And I don't know. I mean, should I, is this worth, I'm just looking to fill time here because this kid is never going to stop talking. So, I came up in writer world, as you did, Sonny. And, like there are two types of people who try to make their bones in writing world. There are the people who try to do it with the work. And then there are people who try to do it by just making moves and getting the class ahead of them to give them stuff. And it was obvious to me that JD Vance was one of these guys whose principal talent was getting near older, more powerful people, figuring out what they wanted to hear, and then saying it to them as if he had just thought of it. That was as clear. And that is exactly what his entire career has been. He's just traded up. Like at first it was Amy Chua, who was the older, more powerful person, or the Tiger Mom, right? And then it was Peter Thiel, and then it was David Frum and Bill Crystal, and then it was the Trump people, right? Then it was Tucker. He really had to get in on Tucker's good side, right? And then it was Eric, Donald Trump Jr. That is all he is, and the world is full of people like that's all Ross Douthat is, right? And I have just a personal hatred of those types of people. There should be like a JVL's law. It's like the longer a live stream goes, the closer it gets to zero as the likelihood that Ross Douthat gets mentioned. the chance that Ross Douthat doesn't get mentioned goes to zero. It's one of those. It's one of those. No, but this is what Ross is. Ross is this absolutely mediocre writer and a totally horrible thinker. A guy who is wrong about everything and knows nothing.
Disagree.
But he is very good at, like, he got near Andrew Sullivan, he got near David Bradley, right, and got near Buckley and all the NANR people, and then got near whoever it was at the NYT who hired him, and like it ain't readers that he's serving. It's not the conversation that he's having.
He's still talking about Ross. The Vance question is interesting because I wouldn't say that I was totally suckered in the sense that I wasn't in a position to like give him jobs, but it was definitely like I read Hillbilly Elegy and I was like, oh, this is interesting, and it definitely filled a need, it filled a niche, but it didn't feel it didn't feel like a put on. And this is, I think, why I resent him so much and why I have grown to hate him so much more in the last few years here, is just because like I now feel like a suckered idiot for taking that book and him more seriously than
I'm excited to get to Sam's report. I do need to let Priscilla know I'm drinking boxed water. Unfortunately, I can't drink because I'm doing too much content for you people. There's too much content creation happening to be able to get drunk. So I'm drinking boxed water. JD, I'm in between JVL and Sonny. With that book, I had a spidey sense. I can't even put my finger on it. I can't take credit for the fact that I read it. I didn't read it. I even read an article about it. There was something about his energy that I was just like, nope, don't think I'm gonna like that. And so I just never did. So there was no substance behind that. It was kind of like how people have gaydar. It was just kind of like I have a douche dar. And I was just like, no, I think this guy's a douchebag. Sam, do you have a report from the floor I hear?
First of all, there's no way you're not drinking.
I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking. Yeah, I can come up with shtick like douche jar, totally sober.
Yeah,
this is the life of a content man.
Completely inspired and not inebriated. Yes, per my assignment editor, JVL, went in there and asked, the question was, would they want Trump to run again in 2028 if he won in 2024? All right, constitutionally he can't, but maybe they have an appetite for it. I will say I talked to 6 different people about this. 5 said they don't think he should run again in 2028 with familiarity with the constitutional prohibition against it. One person I talked to happened to be a constitutional lawyer who said, yeah, they'd have to change the Constitution and that's not going to happen in 4 years and probably ever because of
maybe not the median person in the audience there. Constitutional lawyer.
Yes. Well, you don't get, you pick who you
Yeah, no, I wasn't criticism of your reporting. I was just contextualizing. I'm just contextualizing. That's probably not
there was one person who said, "Screw the Constitution." They did say they're thrilled with. One guy did say, "Yes, I don't think he can run again in 2028, but I would love him to be J.D. Vance's VP in 2028." We're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. So yeah, that's where we're at.
I would. Oh, Melania did come. There you go. I gotta say, I would make fun of that guy if we were in a different world, but I would be lying if I did not admit that I've had several text messages about and one in-person conversation with a legal expert about whether Kamala could choose Barack Obama as her VP as kind of a safety net situation. And the answer to that question, I have to tell you, the answer to that question is kind of yeah. It's kind of yes.
Some guy was like, yeah, 12th Amendment for sure can do it. I was like, okay, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, the answer. Again, I'm not a constitutional scholar, but based on the expertise of one constitutional scholar, it seems like the answer is kind of yes.
Okay. Well,
he could be
good. We could get that one squared away.
I just find it adorable that all these people think that. I mean, I'm sure up to 5 minutes ago they thought that the 14th Amendment also precluded people who participated in insurrection from holding.
I don't think that they probably had thought much about that.
Nobody thought that.
Okay. Any other questions I should ask before I go back in?
I mean, I would continue in the vein. I am just curious about whether people see JD as the heir, or whether
they might be in the moment,
Yeah, they're kind of in the moment.
That was sort of the vibe. Was like, oh no,
okay.
JD will take over, and we'll have 12 continuous years. Trump 4, JD for 8.
Okay. Well, the other question that we were mulling over here was which Trump family member would you like to be on a desert island with? That doesn't seem like it seemes a little less interesting of a question for the floor.
You're stretching my willingness to return here.
Well, we couldn't listen to the Eric speech anymore. And you had to listen to it. We had to stop. Did it get any better, or was it just
fine? It was fine. They had a nice.
How was the room vibe?
Room was good. They had a nice shot of I think it was Eric's kids next to Trump. One screenshot of one of the kids digging deep into his nose for a booger while cute. Standing next to Trump. I thought that was kind of cute. Trump's just sort of sitting there, and I'll give them credit. Like they staged that pretty nicely. But I think we got maybe like what 15 minutes left until Trump goes on. So Dana White will be the speaker right before Trump. So I'm going to try to get back in and see what the mood is.
Okay, we have some requests from the comments.
Okay.
Would like for you to ask what they think about Donald Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
All right, on it. Yeah, there we go.
Sam, do not put yourself in physical risk.
I'm just going to go on the stage and grab the mic and say, hey, guys, show of hands. Epstein files, release them or not? No, I'm not going to do that.
Okay. Well, I trust your instincts.
Oh, I appreciate it. I'll see you guys.
Has QAnon been totally absent from all of this?
I feel like QAnon is kind of a dead letter. It has been for the last
They do
year
the
or two.
Q music at the Trump things, and they hold up their finger.
Isn't that a? Yeah, that's what the music in the Trump rallies is.
Yeah.
What? I don't.
There's a Q element to that. Yeah. Let's see here. Let's do a quick X search of hashtag where we go one we go all. Let's see what kind of feedback we get on that. Yeah. Well, we'll click on the latest here. Okay. So nobody's tweeted that hashtag in 6 minutes. So it's definitely losing some steam.
It's in the past.
It's definitely losing some steam, I guess I'd say. Well, here we go. I mean, it is worth noting that JFK Jr. was there at the attempted assassination, which does connect. Which does sort of connect.
When Trump was shot in the face.
Joe Perticone talked to him for his newsletter.
Joe did talk to him? You chatted with him?
Yep.
I missed that. It's hard to keep up. We're just putting out so much material.
So much content.
Ugh. I don't know if I can do this. I might have to ditch you guys for the actual speech.
No, you got to stay on. We should all do that.
Okay.
But I don't know. I feel like we should all run to the bathroom, do a pee break before we have to buckle in for this.
I have to refill my water bottle because my office is 85 degrees. It gets warm in here.
Well, pee. What's suck up?
Barry, I'm gonna pop out of here for 2 minutes.
Oh, bye, JBL.
JVL's left us?
JVL's left us again.
Okay. Sonny, what are your favorite movies of the year so far?
I don't want to. We can't talk about movies right now. There's serious political things to discuss.
Is there? Well, give me one thing. Give me one something to distraction. You know that I like.
Well,
I like dramas. I like coming of age stories. I like.
Did you see the Bike Riders? Did you see the? I feel like you would like the Bike Riders. The Austin Butler.
I haven't seen that.
Hardy
I do like Austin Butler
movie. Jodie Comer's in it. It's like about a motorcycle gang in the 1950s, and
I'll make a note about the Bike Riders.
I think you would enjoy that.
A request for you to take off your shirt from the comment section. Do you guys have any questions for us while we kill time here? I don't think we need to watch this RNC propaganda video.
No, I don't think we need to do that.
Obviously, I've seen Challengers, Kate. Okay, I'm still a homosexual that is vaguely in touch with what's happening on culture. I might be a dad and well into middle age, but I have seen Challengers.
Did you see it in the theater, or did you see it when it came to VOD?
Yeah, okay. No, I saw it alone in the theater in Philly. Actually, I was very excited when we had our live Bulwark event in Philly. Which went very well. Interviewed Governor Josh Shapiro, future President Shapiro, potentially, or Vice President.
Vice President.
And then we had our event there, and I got there the night before, so as not to miss. I didn't want to risk the day of travel, and I went alone to see Challengers in Philly, and boy, I enjoyed that quite a bit. Just being by myself in a theater.
I'm very pro going to movies by yourself. It's there's a real pleasure in just being able to sit wherever you want, not having to worry about what's showing you're going to. You just show up and go by yourself. I love it. It's great.
When do I think it'd be best for Biden to bail out? Yeah, I think that he should do it on Sunday. I think that he should do it on Sunday, and I think if he's recovered from COVID, and I think that he should give a very important speech. The thing that I don't have a strong opinion about. I'm concerned about the question regarding how he can choose not to run without resigning the presidency. Yeah. I think that's a very delicate situation, and I don't have a good answer to that. That's another thing we need Meacham for. So I'm a little concerned about that.
my take on this is that it's if he decides he is not going to run for president anymore, he pretty much has to step down, because otherwise every single question that Harris gets is, well, why is he, if he can't run, why is he still in the White House? Why is he competent to do that? And look, you thread that needle by saying, I'm still with it now. I don't talk as well. I'm still with it. 4 years from now, who knows? You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think you can maybe get past with that answer. All right, Barry. I don't know if bleeding ears jokes are appropriate yet, but let's make our ears bleed a little bit. Just let's do 1 minute of Kid Rock, please.
Now follow me. Say fight, fight. Say fight, fight. Say fight, fight. Say somebody scream.
All the ostentatious crosses of these fucking guys are just a little much. Nobody believes that Kid Rock. Just come on.
30-pack of stroll, straight rock and roll. No Rogaine in the propane flow. The chosen one.
No Rogaine in the propane. What is it?
From the city of truth. You know I jab, stab, and knock critics back. And I did not start when I said that. I'm going platinum, selling rhymes. I went platinum 7 times. Still they ill and want to see us fry. I guess because only God knows why. Why?
This is really horrible.
Just play Ba with the Ba. Come on.
Are you sure that wasn't Limp Bizkit?
What's that?
Are you sure Ba with a Ba wasn't Limp Bizkit?
I know what songs Kid Rock sings, Tim.
I say Trump, Trump.
What's everybody's favorite Kid Rock deep cut?
Is he doing like a duet with himself? Because sometimes I can't tell if our feed is just not synced up right, or.
Straight Detroit pimp with tracks to Mac and slap back to back. Never gain obey. I don't play with ass. Well, watch me rock with Liberace flash. Rock the clash. Boy bands are trash. I like Johnny Cash and Grandmaster Flash.
Boy bands don't need to take any strays here. There's a lot of quality music that's come out of boy bands. I Want You Back. Got a text that's letting me know that they think that he's lip syncing.
I think he must be.
Rush, I think. E-Head Rush. Barry, we gotta let JVL back in.
Yeah, so I'm a Kid Rock aficionado.
Oh, really?
I celebrate his entire catalog.
Oh, what are some of your favorite deep cuts?
I mean, I just pull up my favorite Kid Rock playlist.
That seems like you're Googling because you don't know.
I think you're cheating.
No, I'm trying to, like, what would I like American Badass, obviously. Ball with the Ball is great.
I want you to name me a song on Devil Without a Care besides Ball with the Ball or Cowboy. I want another song on Devil Without a Cause.
Dude, it's 10:30 at night. Don't ask me to like go pulling tracks out of my. I will.
Okay, that's his seminal record. You said you celebrate his entire catalog. That is his seminal record.
Ba Wada Ba is a great song, and also when I say a great song, I mean whatever. But it's the best song that played at the end of the Shield pilot. Sean Ryan's The Shield closes with a like montage of a strike on the house.
Okay. I'm sorry. I want to hear Sonny. I can't do this anymore. Barry, this is fucking.
You gotta add this to your.
I need an ear bandage after this. I need an ear bandage. My children are already in bed at home. I'm
that was very bad.
That was horrific.
That was a very
JVL
bad.
Owned in the comments. JVL having a Biden moment on Kid Rock catalog.
Yeah,
Maybe he needs to step aside. Great call. That's a good. I
am the oldest person at the Bulwark, and yes, I am. It's 10:30 at night. I cannot pull out song
you only
lyrics and song
perform
titles
from
on
10
command.
a.m. to 4 p.m.
You know,
That's
Bill
your prime
Crystal
writing
would have
and
dropped
content
like
creation
10 Kid Rock classics in that. Ask that question. Bill would have nailed that.
JVL, I don't think Joe's going to get into panic. What do you now? Kid Rock has a very prominent cross there that he's wearing. When do you think he found Jesus?
You know, he's got a whole album of gospel music.
How is that?
He's look, man, he's just an American badass. He's just he's a Detroit cowboy. All right. His 6 guns swinging in the air. He's out there doing his thing, right? Mapping like mayors, balling like Lakers. And I don't see why that's incompatible with the teachings of Jesus Christ.
It's true.
I just don't see it.
All right. That's a good point.
You know, look, he met the sheriff's wife and he painted her white. And by that, I took it to mean that he took her to get clean garments, right? They talk about Jesus and the coat of many colors, right? And I mean, it all makes sense.
For baptism.
It all makes sense.
He met the sheriff's wife and he painted her white. Oh, it's Dana White. Speaking of painting white, I need to go hydrate, and I'm on the 14th floor of a hotel room, and I have no water here, so I got to go down and get myself some agua. I'll be back in a while.
Of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. So 2 weeks ago, I got a call from President Trump asking me if I'd be willing to speak tonight. As usual, there was no pressure, no demands. He asked me as a friend, and of course I said yes. Then, after I accepted his offer, he sent me a text message, and I just want to read to you a little piece of what President Trump wrote to me. Dana, I'm so honored that you will be doing the introduction at the National Republican Convention. Think of it as the biggest fight you ever had, a fight for our country and even the world. I only wish you didn't have to interrupt your family trip, but I hope they understand they love you and they know how important this is. Now think about this. This man's running for president of the United States. He's fighting for the future of this country, and he's concerned about interrupting my family trip. That's the President Trump that I know, a man who truly cares about people. The mainstream media likes to push the narrative that he doesn't care about anyone but himself. I absolutely know that's not the truth because I've been friends with this guy for 25 years. And for the people who know me, they'll know this is true. I just want to make something very clear. Nobody in the Trump campaign has ever told me what to say. Nobody tells me what to say, and I'm nobody's puppet. And I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you what I know. And I know President Trump. I know President Trump is a fighter. I've been saying this since 2015. Now look at what's happened over the last 10 years. We have all seen it with our own eyes. I'm in the tough guy business, and this man is the toughest, most resilient human being that I've ever met in my life. The higher the stakes, the harder he fights, and this guy never, ever gives up. So what's at stake here? The answer is in President Trump's text, and I quote, "A fight for our country." I know why he's running for president again. Why else would he put himself through everything he's dealt with just to get back here? We all know he doesn't need this. This guy's got a great life. He has a beautiful family, and he has achieved everything that you could possibly achieve in life. I know President Trump is literally putting his life on the line for something bigger than himself, and he's willing to risk it all because he loves this country. And I know he wants what's best for the American people, all American people. I know he's running for president to save our American dream. I'm living the American dream, and I know the American dream is very real. Whether you were born in this country or came here from someplace else, this is the last real land of opportunity. President Reagan once said, government's first duty is to protect the people, not run their lives. And if you're buried in government red tape, how will you ever start your own business? If you're struggling to pay your bills, how can you ever afford to start a family? And if you don't feel safe in your own town, why would you ever buy a house? I know that President Trump is fighting to save the American dream, and that's what's at stake in this election.
JBL, does this feel like an old school Reagan-esque type speech? Pro-immigrant,
to lead us in this
anti-red tape, build your business, American dream.
Leader, a fearless
feels
leader,
out of place.
And this country was
this
in a
is
much
from
better
the
place when he was in
2012
the Oval
Republican,
Office.
like, you know, we built that Mitt Romney convention.
Yeah.
In my mind,
These people all hate they hate Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan amnestied all those brown people and got us involved in all of those foreign entanglements. And he was a pawn of NATO. Like,
opportunity and prosperity.
JD Vance talks about zombie Reaganism.
And a real
Like,
American badass.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
And I'm not telling you what choice to make, and I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you what I know. I know America needs a strong leader, and the world needs a strong America. I know
Wait, hold
Donald
on.
J. Trump is the best choice for President of the United States. My fellow Americans, it is my honor to introduce the 45th and soon-to-be 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
I'm gonna run it and get some more water.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just gonna. I'll drive this train, this ship. What's his entrance music gonna be?
That's Lee Greenwood.
Lee Greenwood looks like a made guy from Jersey. Are you kidding?
He's the realest American that there is.
Wow. Okay. Well, you know, not quite what I pictured.
Did you expect like a cowboy hat? And did you expect Kid Rock?
I mean, basically, I expected like a 60-year-old Kid Rock. I didn't expect the guy like with the little paisley tie and the ill-fitting custom. Oh, he's wearing his ear bandage. Mm. It's kind of a little bit like the post-COVID balcony stuff. Remember that? When he stood up there and he saluted to nobody.
Yeah.
Like he was Evita Peron.
I do love the Trump in the. Are they in the volume? Is that like a big LED wall? Or are they just?
I think it's a big LED wall. Yeah.
Interesting.
OLED.
Technology of the future.
Oh my God! Make it. Is he going to sing the whole thing? All the verses?
It's the music behind it is much worse than in the regular version of the song.
This is
like
very bad.
It's like they got an airport lounge act to. It's like they went to the fucking Trump Taj and were like, hey, who's got a set of drums? You know?
Yeah, that's right. We do need more cymbals. More cymbal, please. Come on, get on that.
Who's got a crash? I need a crash.
Thank you, he says. Thank you. Yeah. No, I mean, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you.
I've been dying to get back in here. I've been
Tim,
singing
Tim's-
along.
Did you know that that's what Lee Greenwood looked like?
Of course. I've been seeing Lee Greenwood. I was covering campaign flag. Me and Lee go way back. I've hung out with him backstage. From the hills to the hills of Tennessee.
Has he played every Republican convention for the last 30
Come
years?
see the shining
So
sea.
Lee Greenwood is a stage name, right? His actual name is like
his real name.
Shelley
Morley.
Cantilano.
Thank you very much.
More Lee.
Thank you very, very
I
much.
was lighting a lighter over here.
And thank you, Dana.
Pretty good entrance. I would say it's probably his third best entrance, though, of the
Kid
three
Rock,
conventions.
sometimes referred to as
It
Bob.
feels a little corporate.
And thank you, Lee.
Like we're at
right from the beginning.
Feels
Thank
like we're
you
at
very much.
what's
What a talent.
Salesforce?
What a beautiful soul.
What's Mark Benioff's conference?
Boy, that hair's getting awfully thin. You can see
Friends,
through it.
Delegates and fellow citizens.
Can you believe they're
I stand
nominating this
before you
fucking
this
we
evening
for a
with
third
message
time?
of confidence,
How are we living
strength,
through
and
this?
hope.
We're nominating this person
4
for the
months from
third
now,
fucking
we will
time
have
for president?
An incredible victory.
Like, what in the fuck
and
is
we will
happening?
begin the 4 greatest years
He sat and ate
in the
hamburgers
history
while his
of
vice
our
president
country.
was in danger, while people were storming the Capitol. He watched it on TV and cheered him
Together
on
we
and
will
ate
launch a
hamburgers.
new era of safety,
Well done with ketchup.
prosperity, and freedom for
He's being
citizens of
nominated for
every
president
race,
again.
religion, color, and creed.
I feel like somebody
The
wrote
discord
in
a fucking
October
division in our
of
society must be healed. We must heal
2020,
it
October
quickly.
of 2020,
As
that
Americans,
Donald Trump
we are
would
bound
be the
together
Republican
by
nominee in
fatal fate.
2024. I don't remember who that was, though.
We rise together.
Could have been
I've been
anybody.
saying- I've been saying he's going to be the nominee until he's dead. So
I am running to be
He will be.
president.
like,
Clay wants to hear him. Let's listen to
half of
Donald.
America.
Fine, we'll
Okay,
listen to
I'll
him.
mute myself.
There is no victory in winning for half of America. So tonight, with faith and devotion, I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States. Thank you.
I want to. I'm real lucky there's no razor blades in this hotel room. This is pretty bad stuff.
we need to do it. Do I need to do a wellness check? Do we got to
No, I'm on. I'm live. You can do a wellness check. But like,
Tim, are you well?
no, I'm not well. How is this fucking real?
They don't want us to talk. Mute yourself, guys.
I might talk. Sorry. For the first Trump convention, I was blackout drunk. Refused to watch.
Thank you very much. And we will do it right. Gonna do it right. Let me begin this evening by expressing my gratitude to the American people for your outpouring of love and support following the assassination attempt at my rally on Saturday. As you already know, the assassin's bullet came within a quarter of an inch of taking my life. So many people have asked me, what happened? Tell us what happened, please. And therefore, I will tell you exactly what happened. And you'll never hear it from me a second time because it's actually too painful to tell.
Thank you, Alex Floor.
It was a warm, beautiful day in the early evening in Butler Township in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Music was loudly playing and the campaign was doing really well. I went to the stage and the crowd was cheering wildly. Everybody was happy. I began speaking very strongly, powerfully, and happily because I was discussing
Why is this written at a second grade
what the
level?
administration did on immigration at the southern border. We were very proud of it. Behind me and to the right was a large screen that was displaying a chart of border crossings under my leadership. The numbers were absolutely amazing. In order to see the chart, I started to, like this, turn to my right and was ready to begin a little bit further turn, which I'm very lucky I didn't do, when I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard on my right ear. I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet. And moved my right hand to my ear, brought it down. My hand was covered with blood.
just absolutely blood all over the place. I immediately knew it was very serious, that we were under attack, and in one movement proceeded to drop to the ground. Bullets were continuing to fly as very brave Secret Service agents rushed to the stage, and they really did. They rushed to the stage.
Real life. We're here right now. This is Earth. We're on Earth right now.
Just wait. He could be president again.
I'm not living in a nightmare right now.
Probably going to be president again.
This is real life right now. This is my life.
And pounced on top of me so that I would be protected. There was blood pouring everywhere, and yet, in a certain way, I felt very safe because I had God on my side. I felt that. The amazing thing is that prior to the shot, if I had not moved my head at that very last instant, the assassin's bullet would have perfectly hit its mark, and I would not be here tonight. We would not be together. The most incredible aspect of what took place on that terrible evening in the fading sun was actually seen later. In almost all cases, as you probably know,
What are we going to say?
even a single bullet is fired, just a
We have to
single
listen to this
bullet,
whole thing
and we had
silently
many bullets that were
without
being
talking.
fired. Crowds run
can
for
talk
the
in some of
exits
this part.
or stampede, but not in this case. It's very unusual.
These colors don't run.
This massive crowd of tens of thousands of people stood by and didn't move an inch. In fact, many of them bravely, but
Tens of
automatically stood up looking for where the sniper would be. They knew immediately it was a sniper, and then began pointing at him. You can see that if you look at the group behind me. That was just a small group compared
I
to
love
what
that he's
was in front.
incorporating his own Zapruder
Nobody
film
ran, and by
into his convention
not
speech.
stampeding,
Great.
many lives were
Great.
saved.
You know, as Tucker said,
But that
you can
isn't
tell he's a
the
changed man because he
reason
doesn't even talk about himself anymore.
That's a good point. He doesn't.
they
He
didn't
doesn't
move.
even
The
has.
reason is
He's
that
focused
out the
entirely on the
first thing-
I was
victims.
in very
The
The guy
first
that's
thing he
dead
does
and the two injured
is-
guys.
go down.
Yeah.
Has he
That
mentioned
was,
the dead guy yet?
blood.
The two
And
injured people?
well,
I
mean,
haven't heard them yet.
Actually, most
You know,
We'll
I'm
get
sure
to
it's
him.
coming.
that I was
But,
dead. They knew it was a shot to the head. They saw the blood. And there's an interesting statistic. The ears are the bloodiest part. If something happens with the ears, they bleed more than any other part of the body. For
Yes.
whatever reason, the doctors
Yes,
told me
girls
that.
have been
I said,
noticing
"Why
this
is
when they get their
so
ears
much blood?" He
pierced
said, "It's the
for
ears. They
hundreds of
bleed
years.
more."
The
So you
blood
learn
that comes
something,
from
but
the ear
they
is
just-
really, you know, they bleed from the whatever.
They just, this beautiful crowd, they didn't want to leave me. They knew I was in trouble. They didn't want to leave me. And
Listen, you guys in the
can see
comments
that
are gonna have to
love
fight this
written
out on
all
your
over
own
their faces.
because I have like
Yeah.
half of you saying, "Please talk God, don't make us listen to this," and the other half
Incredible
saying,
people.
"Please stop talking, we
They're
want to listen."
incredible people.
So I
Bullets
can't
were
handle getting
flying
yelled at
over
both
us,
ways. You guys
yet
fight
I
it out
felt
and let me know what the
serene.
consensus is.
Send,
But now
send
poll.
a
Secret
tribute.
Service
Send a
agents
tribute
reporting
to the
themselves.
Andrew Hazlitt.
They were
I'm
very
appointing Andrew Hazlitt as the Tribune
dangerous
from the
territory.
commenters.
Bullets were flying right over them, missing them by a very small amount of inches. And then it all stopped. Our Secret Service sniper, from a much greater distance and with only one bullet used,
Only one bullet used with so much
took the
strength.
assassin's life, took him out.
Very powerful shot he used. Many people are
I'm
saying
not supposed to be here
he didn't
tonight.
hit that
Not
shot
supposed to be here.
if his hand hadn't also been touched by God.
Yeah.
Yes,
What are they
you
saying?
are. They're
Yes,
saying yes,
you
you
are.
are.
Oh,
He said,
I
I'm not
wasn't-
even supposed to be here.
Right.
Yes, you are. It's a very
Thank
natural
you.
call and response.
But I'm not. And I'll tell you, I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God.
Yeah, no, it's true. I feel like tonight's the night Donald Trump finally became president.
In watching the reports over the last few days, many people say it was a providential moment.
He kind of chuckled when he said
was,
providential.
surrounded by
I have a
Secret
close-up on
Service.
this screen when I don't have the wide shot.
crowd was
Yeah,
confused
he
because
smirked
they
when he
thought I
said
was
providential. Like he
And there
can't
was
get it
great,
out.
great sorrow. I could see that on their faces as I looked out. They didn't know I was looking out. They thought it was over. But I could see it. And I wanted to do
guys.
something to let them know I was okay.
I'm ahead of you. I've
I
got bad
raised
news
my
about
right
what's
arm,
coming.
looked at the thousands and
Brace
thousands of
yourself.
people that were breathlessly waiting and started
the shark.
shouting, "Fight, fight, fight." Thank you. Once my clenched fist went up and it was high into the air, you've all seen that. The crowd
Maybe I'm
realized
stealing your Tucker
I was
observation for
okay and
X.com.
roared with
Go ahead.
pride for our country like no crowd I have ever heard before. Never heard anything like it. For the rest of my life, I will be grateful for the love shown by that giant audience of patriots that stood bravely on that fateful evening in Pennsylvania. Tragically, the shooter claimed the life of one of our fellow Americans, Corey.
Oh, hey, he got to him.
Unbelievable person, everybody tells me.
There you go. All right. Took 15
And
minutes.
seriously wounded.
Has it only
Two
been
other
15
great
minutes?
warriors. Spoke to them today. David Dutch and James Copenhaver. Two great people. I also spoke to all three families of these tremendous people. Our love and prayers are with them and always will be. We're never going to forget them. They came for a great rally. They were serious Trumpsters, I want to tell you. They were serious Trumpsters.
Trumpites.
They still are.
I believe.
But Corey,
Sir,
unfortunately,
sir,
have to use the
it's
past
Trumpites.
incredible.
Hulk told us.
He's a highly respected former fire chief, respected by everybody. Was accompanied by his wife, Helen, incredible woman. I spoke to her today, devastated, and two precious daughters. He lost his life selflessly acting as a human shield to protect them from flying bullets. He went right over the top of them and was hit. What a fine man he was.
We have props? We have props coming. You guys aren't looking at what's about to happen.
Tim, I have a very what's our pageant movie that we love?
Drop Dead
Christianity.
Gorgeous.
Drop Dead Gorgeous moment. When she comes out waltzing with the cross.
American flag.
No, remember Jesus on the cross?
Oh, Jesus on the cross.
He just brought out an empty.
No, it's the fire. It's the suit of the guy who died.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that happened.
I want to thank the fire department and the family for sending his helmet, his outfit, and it was
I
just
misunderstood. I
something
thought
that
it
they're
was
going to do something very special when they get it. But
no.
we did something which cannot match what happened, not even close. But I am very proud to say that over the past few days, we've raised $6.3 million. For the families of David, James, and Corey, including from a friend of mine, just called up. He sent me a check right here. I just got it. $1 million.
That's nice.
From Dan Newland. Thank you, Dan. And again, when speaking to the family, I told them, I said, well, I'm going to be sending you a lot of money, but it can't compensate. They all said the same thing. You're right, sir. We appreciate so much what you're doing, but nothing can take the place in the case of Corey. And the other two, by the way, they were very, very seriously injured, but now they're doing very well. They're going to be okay. They're going to be doing very well.
I'm sorry. I don't know what to say.
The Warriors. So now
I'm
I ask
underneath
that
the
we
camera here. I'm
observe
like
a moment of silence
pinching
in
myself
honor
very
of
tightly just to make
our
sure this
friend
is still
Corey.
real life. Did we lose the audio, or is this a dramatic pause?
No, I think it's a moment of silence.
Moment of silence.
Oh, sorry. I missed that.
There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for others. This is the spirit that forged America in her darkest hours. And this is the love that will lead America back to the summit of human achievement and greatness. This is what we need. Despite such a heinous attack, we unite this evening more determined than ever. I am more determined than ever, and so are you. So is everybody in this room.
One thing I don't think I'm going to be able to stomach is the Fox takes on this. Usually I would want to watch that, but I just here we go. I've been sent a tweet
Our
from a
resolve is
reporter who
unbroken and our purpose is
says
unchanged
that
to
this is a
deliver
very
a
different
government
side
that
to Donald
serves the
Trump.
American people better than ever before. Nothing will stop me in this mission because our vision is righteous and our cause is pure. No matter what obstacle comes our way, we will not break, we will not bend, we will not back down, and I will never stop fighting for you, your family, and our magnificent country. Never.
I gotta say, I don't.
And everything I have to give with
I do think he might be a
all
little
the
injured,
energy
though.
and fight
Like
in my
he
heart
does
and soul,
just
I
seem
pledge
like
to
in all of the
our
images of
nation
him, he
tonight.
seems
Thank you very much. I pledge that to our nation.
a little out of it.
We turn our nation around, and
and
we're
maybe
gonna
this
do it
is
very
just
quickly.
forced
Thank you.
somberness. It's like it could just be acting, but like he does. He doesn't seem like he's at 100.
This
I guess is
election
all I'm
should
saying.
be about the issues facing our country and how
On
to
pain meds, maybe.
make America successful, safe, free, and great again.
Also been wondering about his
In an age
hearing.
when our politics too often divide us. Now is the time to remember that we are all fellow citizens. We are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Except for Texas, which should be allowed to secede.
And we must not criminalize dissent or demonize political disagreement, which is what's been happening in our country lately at a level that nobody has ever seen before. In that spirit, the Democrat Party should immediately stop weaponizing the justice system and labeling their political opponent as an enemy of democracy. Especially since that is not true. In fact, I am the one saving democracy for the people of our country.
Feels like him and Tucker workshopped that one a little bit.
The true people, the Volk, if you will.
And very big news, as you probably just read. On Monday, a major ruling was handed down from a highly respected federal judge in Florida, Eileen Cannon, finding that the prosecutor and the fake documents case against me were totally unconstitutional, and the entire case was thrown out of court.
I gotta tell you, when I think ahead to the second Trump term,
Thrown out of court.
the appointment of Eileen Cannon to the Supreme Court is something that
If Democrats
I'm
want to
going to
unify
find a
our
little bit of
country,
humor in.
they should drop these partisan witch hunts, which I have been going through for approximately 8 years.
I mean, it
And
would
they
be
should
nice
do
to
that
just really
without
rubber
delay and
stamp
allow an
the
election to proceed that
idiocracy.
is worthy of our people.
Just
We're going to
really
win it
kind
anyway.
of thumb the nose at Leonard
Worthy
Leo.
of our people.
I'm kind of annoyed that he
On this journey, I
stuck
am
with the
deeply
federal
honored
Fed
to be
stock list the
joined
first time around.
by my amazing wife, Melania.
Where am I not supposed to go? Imagining the second term? The only way to process the second term is to think about it. I'm in the bargaining stage right now. I'm still working through
Melania,
bargaining.
thank you very much. You
But I need to get
also
to
did something really beautiful, a letter to America
expectancy.
calling for national unity, and it really took the Republican Party by surprise. I will tell you, it was beautiful. In fact, some very serious people said that we should take that letter and put it as part of the Republican platform. That would be an honor, wouldn't it? Right?
Which
Mr.
letter?
Congressman?
Melania's
But it captivated so many.
Melania's
So I
letter.
also want to
statement that she put
thank
out after
my
the shooting.
entire family
Calling
for
for unity.
being here. Don, Kimberly, Ivanka and Jared, Eric and Lara.
Has there been
Tiffany
any
and Michael,
outreach to the other side
Baron,
for
we don't
unity,
know
or is
Baron.
unity just accepting the Volk's decrees?
That's what unity is.
Oh, got
Unity is stopping resisting the
course,
folk.
my 10 wonderful
Okay.
grandchildren. You saw a few of them up there on my lap before.
I like that. It's like, you see that? I had a child on my lap. You notice that, right? Child lap.
And
You
how
do that
good
all the
was
time.
Dana? Was Dana good? I mean, was he good?
Yeah, me
he
too,
was
Dr.
on
Seven.
probably the only vacation he's had in about maybe ever, because he works, but about 10 years with his wife, very far away. I won't tell you where, but very, very far away, beautiful place. And my people called and he said, yeah, I won't be able to do it. This is many, many years. I promised my wife I can't do it. And they came in, they said, Dana won't be able to do it because he was my first, second, and third choice. I said, well, that's too bad.
Are we
but
talking
I
about the
understand
wife
he's
that Dana
away.
hit, or
That's
does he
good.
have a new
It's good
wife?
for him.
Sonny, do you have a
And that was it
UFC
about-
Don't
knowledge?
know.
30 minutes
I
later,
don't have any
she
deep
came back
knowledge
in,
of
sir.
UFC.
Dana just called. He's going to do it. And his wife.
Sure, the wife was
she said,
very
"You
upset
can't
that he
turn him
travels
down.
a
You
lot.
just can't do it. You have to go. That's a good wife.
Same wife, Jerry says. Well, that's good for them. Everybody's in the spirit of J.D. Vance's policy proposals for the country.
So he got on a plane. He got here a little while ago. Now he's going to get on the plane in a little while, and he's going to go back home to his wife. But they're great.
So
and,
was it a
I just wanna thank
36-hour
her and him and their
vacation
whole
that he was
family,
on,
'cause
and he
that's
gave
not
up
easy.
like 24 hours? So it was a
Kid
really
Rock,
big
same thing.
sacrifice,
Called,
or
he said,
He was very
he said,
far
I
away.
want to be a part of it.
How long it took.
Yeah,
I wanna be a
it's
part,
somebody
'cause
that
Richard
has
does
written
this
some speeches
great
in
song,
my
big,
day.
big monster song. I had
Really,
no idea.
concession
Became a
speeches is right in my wheelhouse, more than convention speeches. But you don't usually do
He was,
multi-minute asides about the personal life of the
every time he goes,
introducer.
I think he's
that
making
kinda
so much money he doesn't know
hurts
what the
the
hell
flow
to
a
do
little
with it.
bit.
You want to know?
He said this was going to be 90 minutes.
And then we have my other
How long
friend that
are
I've
we? How
known him
far
so
are we?
long, and
Yeah,
we
that's
took
what
that
they
song,
said.
and
That was
a
going to be
big
90
success,
minutes.
But we made that. I
So,
saw a chart
where
of
have we
great
started? How
songs
far in
to
are we so
America.
far?
That was number
Can I
one
get
on
a
the chart recently.
comment?
Number
this
one.
feels
So
like a
that's Lee Greenwood, a very special,
me the mic to do
beautiful
a
person. He's a
toast at a
beautiful
wedding,
man.
and they just won't stop talking, just
Oh
rambling.
no, it doesn't have to end
But
at
they
11.
all
When did
wanted
it?
to
It's
be
only
here.
been
They
10
called,
minutes,
and how about
Carmine.
the
No,
Hulkster? How
It
good was he?
we were
Is he?
22 minutes in.
Where is he?
Okay, so 68 minutes left. I think that feels
Boy,
right
oh,
because
boy.
he hasn't done his speech that he was going to give. So all of this is
This is all preamble.
Yeah, he's doing preamble where he wants to tell everybody what happened
You
to
know, they
him
may
at the
call
shooting. Now he's
They
doing
may
some
call
crowd
that
work,
entertainment. I know about entertainment,
and
but
then
when he used to
the
lift
speech.
a 350
So the speech I don't think has
man,
really started yet. Barry.
maybe entertainment, but he is
Barry.
one strong son of a gun. I will tell you, I watched it
It's
many
a rough
times.
hit, though.
There aren't a lot of entertainers that can do that, right?
Rough
You were
hit.
fantastic. Thank you very much. Followed by Eric What was that all about? Boy, that was good. I didn't
Guys,
want to really
I don't
come
know
up
that I
here.
can do this.
What was that all about?
I do not know that I
But
could
he was
sit
so
and
great,
do
and he's
Mystery
such a
Science
good
Theater
young
for
man. He went
90
through a
minutes
lot
of
of
Well,
this.
we only have
trouble,
68
and
minutes
Don
left.
last night was incredible. They went
Give
through
or
so much
take.
trouble. They got subpoenaed more than any
Very
people
intervening
probably in the
with
history of the
Dana White
United
hitting
States.
his
Every week they get another subpoena from
You had to
the
keep us on our toes.
Democrats. Crazy Nancy Pelosi. The
Not a
whole
great
thing
speech.
just
Oh,
boom,
great. You can
boom,
feel the
boom.
unity. Straight into crazy Nancy Pelosi.
They've got to stop that because they're destroying our country. We have to work on making America great again, not on beating people. And we won. We beat them and all. We beat them on the impeachments. We beat them on indictments. We beat them. But the time that you have to spend, if they would devote that genius to
All right,
helping
both of you
our
right now.
country, we'd have a much
Give me the odds that he
stronger and better
says the election
country.
was stolen.
I think 3-1.
Sonny?
And
Even money.
Jason, the biggest star in country music. Jason, thank you for being here.
Oh, is Jason Aldean in the crowd?
Jason.
Don't try
Thank
that
you
in a
very
small
much.
town.
Jason Aldean, he's good.
Nothing
I
says
like
unity.
I like his wife even better, by the way. She's
threatening to beat
Thank you,
somebody
Jason.
up or worse if they.
But I'm thrilled to
What
have
What
a
happened to
new friend
the
and
rich
partner
men from north
fighting
of
by my
Richmond?
side.
I thought
The
they hated
next
the
vice
Tribune.
president of the
Oliver.
United States, the current senator
That
from
guy
Ohio,
kinda
J.D.
disappeared. I
Vance,
thought
and his incredible wife,
He was going to be the
Usha.
next big thing.
He loves saying "Usha."
Well, JD's on the Ozempic. Good for him.
He's going to be a great vice president. He's going to be great. He'll be with this country and with this movement, greatest movement in the history of our country. Make America great again. When they criticize it, they say, we're going to try and stop MAGA. I said, MAGA is making America great again. What are you going to stop? There's nothing to stop. Then they say, oh, that's right. It's very tough to fight it. And all of the people that did try and fight it have failed. But he's going to be with us for a long time, and it was an honor
Except for
to select
Joe
him.
Biden.
Great
Joe Biden.
student at Yale.
Biden
His
beat
wife
you.
was a great student
You
at
fuck.
Yale. They met at Yale. These are two smart people. So, JD, you're going to be doing this for a long time. Enjoy the ride. And a very special thank you to the extraordinary people of Milwaukee and the great state of. Oh, there they are. There they are. You are so easy to spot. And Green Bay's going to have a good team this year, right? They're going to have a good team. They're going to have a good team. Most of the audience doesn't like it, but it's true. You're going to have a very good team this year. And by the way, Wisconsin, we are spending over $250 million here, creating jobs and other economic development all over the place. So I hope you will remember this in November
spending $250
and give us
million?
your vote. I am trying to buy your vote. I'll be honest about that.
That's unusual.
Boy, it seems like a lot of money.
This is a non-traditional,
And I promise we
non-traditional
will make
speech here. Lengthy
Wisconsin
crowd work,
great again. We're gonna
followed
make
by admitting, trying to
you,
purchase
Mr. Governor.
votes.
Thank you
I don't
very
think
much.
that's legal,
Thank
but
you.
good news is he has immunity.
I'm here tonight to lay out a vision for the whole nation. To every citizen, whether you're a young or old man or woman, Democrat, Republican, or independent, black or white, Asian or Hispanic, I extend to you a hand of loyalty and of friendship. Together, we will lead America to new heights of greatness like the world has never seen before. We were right there in the first term. We got hit with COVID. We did a great job. Nobody knew what it was, but nobody's ever seen an economy pre-COVID. And then we handed over a stock
Got some
market
bad news
that
for you,
was
JVL.
substantially higher than just
Yeah, it was a
prior to
90-minute
COVID.
speech, but
Coming in, did a great
there's a
job.
6-minute
We got credit
section
for
right
that. We
there
got
that was
credit
off
for
script.
the war and
So I think we
defeating
might be
ISIS
pushing
and
towards
so many things, the great
maybe
economy, the
96
biggest tax
to
cuts ever, the
100.
biggest regulation cuts ever,
Yay.
the creation of Space Force, the
So
rebuilding
just
of our military. We did so
FYI.
much.
Space Force.
We did so much. Right to try. Right to try is a big deal. We got right to try. They were trying to get that for 52 years. Somebody's terminally ill, and hopefully there's nobody in this audience, but it does happen a lot. They're terminally ill and they can't use our new space age drugs and other things that we are way ahead. We have the greatest doctors in the world,
frazzle
the
drip
greatest
while this is going on.
laboratories in the world, and you can't
I
do it.
should
They've
have
been
done
trying
like
to
a
get that
face
approved for
mask.
52 years. Wasn't
I
that
do have
easy?
some of our
The insurance companies didn't want to do
moisturizer
it. They
from
didn't
One
want the
Skin,
risk.
one of
The
our
labs didn't
sponsors.
want to do it because if it didn't
Try
work,
One
people are
Skin,
pretty
but I
far
don't have
down
a-
the
I don't
line
have a
toward death.
mask.
They didn't want to do it. The doctors
I'm
didn't
thinking
want to
about
have it
becoming
on
a
their
high school
records, so I
social
got
studies
everybody
teacher.
into an office. 52 years they tried. Sounds simple, but it's not.
Yeah, I just think
And I
that's
got
like a
them
9
to
to 3,
agree that
right? You get
somebody that
summers
needs
off.
it will, instead of going to Asia or Europe
Spend
or
some time grading
someplace,
papers.
or
You
if
don't
you have
spend
no
some
money
time
going
grading
home and
papers.
dying, just die. We got them to sign an agreement, agree to it,
to
where
watch
they're not going to sue anybody.
So-
They're going to get all of this stuff. They're going to get it really fast. And
What are we doing instead
what's
of
happened is we're saving thousands and thousands of lives. It's incredible. Right to try. It's a great feeling. Under our leadership, the United States will be respected again. No nation will question our power. No enemy will doubt our might. Our borders will be totally secure. Our economy will soar. We will return law and order to our streets, patriotism to our schools, and importantly, we will restore peace,
Forced patriotism.
stability, and
Forced
harmony
patriotism in the
all
schools is a
throughout
very
the world.
important part of the free speech movement.
But to achieve this future, we must first rescue our nation from failed and even incompetent leadership. We have totally incompetent leadership. This will be the most important election in the history of our country.
You know what? Give us a tour
Under
of your
the
book.
current administration, we are indeed a nation in decline. We have an inflation
not going to
crisis
any
that is
gulag.
making life unaffordable, ravaging the incomes of working and low-income families, and
That's
crushing,
false.
just simply crushing our people like never before. They've
But I'm
never
not
seen
going to
anything.
gulag
Real
like
wage
you.
growth is
We
outpaced
also have
inflation.
an illegal
I'm
immigration
sorry, that's true.
crisis, and it's taking place right now as we sit here in this beautiful arena. It's a massive invasion at our southern border that has spread misery,
really quite
crime,
right.
poverty, disease, and destruction to communities all
Border
across our
crossings
are
land.
down.
Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Disease.
Then there's
poverty.
an international crisis,
What
the likes
disease
of
are they
which
spreading, would you
the
say?
world has seldom been
Just kind
part
of like
of.
brown
Nobody can
cooties,
believe
or
what's
is that an
happening.
Ebola
War is now
throwback,
raging
you
in
think?
Europe and the Middle East. A growing specter of conflict hangs over Taiwan, Korea, the Philippines, and all of Asia. And
You know,
our
if
planet is
only-
teetering on the edge of world
Oh, are we
war
going to
III.
defend Taiwan in the
This
Trump
will be a war
administration?
like no other war because of weaponry.
The Trump
weapons
administration
are
will
no
respond
longer army tanks going
militarily
back and forth
to aggression
shooting
against
at each
Taiwan.
other.
That's
These
big news.
weapons are obliteration.
China will be too scared to attack with Trump.
It's
in
time
office.
for
You
a
know that.
change.
You know,
This
come on.
administration
He projects
can't
strength.
come close to
I
solving
could go
the
back in
problems
time
we're
and do
dealing with.
anything. I think probably
Very
what I would
tough,
do
very
is go to
fierce
Sweden,
We're fierce people.
meet great Aunt
We
Drumpf,
don't have fierce people.
and just be
We have
like,
people that are a lot
things
less
aren't
than
that great
fierce,
in
except
America.
when it comes to
ride it out
checking on
here in Europe.
elections and a couple
There's
of
some
other
great
things. Then they're
other
fierce.
places to emigrate
Then
to.
they're fierce.
You know,
So tonight, I make this pledge to the great people of America. I will end the devastating inflation crisis immediately, bring down interest rates, and lower the cost of
Oh,
energy.
how's he going to do that?
We
Scotland
will
was
He's
on
going
one
to bring
side.
down
drill,
interest rates?
baby,
Wasn't Sweden on the
drill.
other side? Didn't we have? Oh, Bill Baby Joel's back.
The inflation crisis is already over. Oh my God. The Federal Reserve sets interest rates, not the chief executive. You fucking ignoramus.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Mary, they were Scottish. I thought that there was some Scandinavian in there in the Trump
Can you believe
bloodline.
what they're
Maybe
doing?
just he wished it was. Is that the story that
But
his
by
dad was
doing that,
German and he
we will
pretended to be
lead a
Swedish? That's what I'm getting
large-scale
mixed up.
decline
He
in
didn't want to
prices.
admit to the
Prices
German
will start to
heritage.
come down. Energy raised it. They took our energy policies and destroyed them. Then they immediately went back
They
to them.
said they
By that
rewrote the
time,
speech. That's not what they
so
did.
much was lost.
They added the first
But we will
22
do it at
minutes
levels
on
that
the top.
nobody's ever seen before.
I'm sorry.
We'll end
American energy
lots of
production
different things. We'll
at
start
an
paying off debt and
all-time
start
high
lowering
under
taxes
Joe
even
Biden.
further. We gave you the largest tax
Yeah,
cut.
Domestic
that.
energy
We'll
production
do it
higher
more.
than it has ever been.
You know, people
In
don't
any
Domestic oil
realize
production higher than
I
it
brought
has
taxes
ever
way
been.
down,
In any
way,
country
way
in the world
down.
history.
And yet we took in more revenues the following year than we did when the tax rate was much higher. Most
What
people
flag
say,
you
how did
think
you do
Marianne
that?
Alito's
Because it
flying these
was
days following that
incentive.
shooting? I wonder
Everybody
if
was
she has
coming to
like
the
a
country. They were bringing
yeah,
back
something like a
billions and billions
this
of
flag.
dollars into our
Yeah,
country. The
the ordering.
companies made it impossible to bring it back. The tax rate was too high.
No,
and
he has
the
not used Biden the
legal
same yet, and he says
complications
that he's
were far
not
too
going to.
great.
That was
I
that
changed
was
both of
word
them.
beforehand that they
And
leaked
hundreds
out.
of
Not
billions
going
of
to mention
dollars
Joe
by
Biden.
Apple and so many other companies were brought back into our nation, and we had an economy the likes of which no nation had ever
Foxconn plant
seen.
never
China, we
opened.
were beating them
Apple did not
at levels that were incredible. And they know it. They know it. We'll do it again, but we'll do it even better. I will end the illegal immigration crisis by closing our border and finishing the wall, most of which I've already built.
I like how he navigates that. You're going to finish the wall, but wait a minute, I was supposed to do that already.
On the
So
wall, we
most
were
of
dealing
it's
with a
done
very
already. Most of
difficult
it's done.
Congress.
Don't worry about it.
And I said, oh, that's okay. We won't go to Congress. I call it an invasion. We gave our military almost $800 billion. I said, I'm going to take a little of that money because this is an invasion. And we built, most of the wall is already built. And we built it through using the funds because what's better than that? We have to stop the invasion into our country that's killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. We're not going to let that happen.
Is killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. How is that?
So
I will end every single international
It's not gonna-
crisis
it's all
that the
fentanyl.
current
They just
administration
blame
has
every
created,
fentanyl death on the war.
including the horrible war with Russia and Ukraine, which would have never happened if I was president, and the war caused by the attack on Israel, which would have never happened if I was president.
don't worry
Iran
about
was broke. Iran had no money.
No.
Now Iran has $250
Never been
billion.
any
They made it all
tensions
over the
between
last
Palestine and
2.5
Israel
years.
before.
They were broke. I watched the other day on a show called Deface the Nation. Has anyone seen it? And they had a congressman who was a Democrat say, well,
Margaret
whether you
Brennan
like
there.
him or not, Iran was broke dealing with Trump. I told China and other countries, if you buy from Iran, we will not
I guess I'm trying to
let
watch
you
the
do
two.
any business in this country,
Between
and we
golfing.
will put tariffs on every product you do send in of 100% or
Here's
more.
a take.
And they
His
said to me,
speeches
well, I think that's about it. They weren't going to
Before
buy
the
any oil.
assassination attempt had
And
kind
they
of
were
an
ready to make a
annoying
deal.
joie
Iran
de
was going to
vivre
make a
about
deal
them.
with us. And then
Like
we
he
had
was
that
like,
horrible,
they
horrible
post
result that
debate
will never let happen again.
before Pennsylvania.
The election
He was
result will
riding
never
high,
let that happen again.
and it was
They
kind
used
of
COVID to cheat.
gotchy, and I don't know.
They're
I
never gonna
watched
let
a
it
couple of them,
happen
and I was
again.
like, oh man, this guy is like
And they took off all the
appealing.
sanctions and they did
It's not for me,
everything
but I can see it. I
possible
can
for
see it.
Iran.
I don't.
And
This is
now
not. I
Iran
don't
is
think
very
this is working.
close to having
Well,
a nuclear
it's
weapon, which would have never happened.
He's
This
never
is
at
a
his
shame
best when
what-
he's working off
what
the
this
teleprompter
administration,
like
the
this. I mean,
damage that
it
this
is low energy,
administration has
but
done, and I say it often.
it-
If you took the 10 worst
Yeah.
presidents
It's
in the
boring.
history
It's
of the
just
United
boring. This is
States,
boring.
think of
Boring.
it, the 10 worst,
Boring, and
added them up, they will not have done the
it doesn't seem
damage that
fun.
Biden has done. Only going to
Oh,
use
wait a
the
minute.
term
He
once.
used his name.
Biden.
There you
I'm
go.
not going to use the name anymore, just one time.
Done it twice
The
actually.
damage that
if I'm
he's
gonna be
done to this
technical.
country is unthinkable. It's unthinkable. Together we will restore vision, strength, competence, and we're going to have a thing called common sense making most of our decisions, actually. It's all common sense. Just a few short years ago, under my presidency, we had the most secure border and best economy in the
What's the
history
bad
of our
news, Jim?
country, in the history of the world. We had the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had never done anything like it. We were beating every
40
country,
minutes left in
including
this
China,
match.
by leaps
Great.
and bounds.
That's
Nobody
good.
had seen anything like it. We had no inflation,
There you go.
soaring
This is kind of like
incomes
an
were
endurance
going.
test for you.
Nobody can believe it. You can't believe what happened 4 years ago.
Let's just
is
tape a podcast
happening
with Bill
now
Kristol and
in
Sean
reverse.
Heilman on this. After
the
this,
world
could Bill
was
Kristol
at
possibly
peace,
be awake at the
has
end of the
been a
speech?
killer for our
What are
country.
the
No
what are
matter
the
what you
odds?
make it doesn't matter because
I'm
inflation
gonna
is
send him a
eating you
text right
alive.
now.
People that were putting away money, they were making great wages, the highest they've ever made, but they were putting away a lot of
Boat
money. Now
sales
they
are at an
are
all-time
just being
high.
destroyed. They're not putting away anything. They're barely living. They're going into savings
It's because
accounts.
they're spending all their
They're
money on
taking
boats,
out their
JBL.
money to live
They can
because
barely
of
live
inflation.
on their
Inflation, remember, it's called a country buster. You can go back to Germany from 100 years ago. You can go back to any country that suffered great inflation. We've suffered the worst inflation we've ever had. But go back and see
Again,
what's
that's
happened to
simply
those
not
countries.
true.
We've had the
Just
worst
wheelbarrows,
inflation
nowhere
we've
near
ever
true.
had under this person. But in less than 4 years, our opponents have turned incredible success into unparalleled tragedy and failure. It's been a tremendous failure. Today, our cities are flooded with illegal aliens. Americans are being squeezed out of the labor force and their jobs are taken. By the way, you know who's taking the
Unemployment
jobs?
is
The jobs that
below
are created?
4% for 36 consecutive months.
107% of those jobs are taken by illegal aliens. And you know who's being hurt the most by
CNN should hire
millions of
you,
people
JBL.
pouring into our country? The black population and the
black
Hispanic
jobs.
population,
all the black
because
jobs,
they're taking
right?
the jobs from our black population,
Yeah.
our Hispanic population,
Uh-huh.
and they're also taking them
Oh,
from
yeah.
unions.
Black
The unions are
population
suffering
sounds
because of
worse
it.
than black jobs, kind of to me.
Thank you. Thank
The
you. I like
black
you too.
population.
Thank you very much. Inflation has wiped out the life savings of our citizens and forced the middle class into a state of depression and despair. That's what it is. It's despair and
I just
depression.
want
we
a
cannot
camera.
and
I want
will
to. Can
not
we put a
let this
supercut of every
continue.
time
Less
he
than
says
4 years ago,
inflation
we
with
were a
JBL's
great
face?
nation,
Barry,
and we
can
will
you
soon be
make
a
that
great
supercut
nation
for us at some
again.
point?
We're going to be a great nation again.
Is the middle class depressed? Are people depressed in the middle class and despairing? I gotta tell you, I was in
Has anybody
Pensacola.
been to the airport recently?
With
I was
proper
in
leadership,
Pensacola. All right.
every
But
disaster
this
we
was
are now
not. I was
enduring
not
will
on
be fixed, and
30A
it
in
will be
Destin.
fixed
I was
very,
not in the
very
Hamptons.
quickly.
I was fucking
So
in
tonight,
Pensacola.
whether you've
Everybody's having a
supported
great
me in the
time.
past or
There's
not,
little
I
cover
hope you will
bands doing
support me
country
in the
music.
future
People are
because
drinking Bud
I
Lights.
will bring back
You
the
know,
American dream.
people
That's
were-
what we're going
people
to
were
do.
looking
You don't even
hefty,
hear
like
about
they had
the
a-
American
like they were
dream.
well fed. I didn't see a lot of despair and
With great
desperation. I was a little
humility,
despair.
I am asking
Wall
you
Street
to
Journal
be
had a piece 2
excited
weeks ago. Perhaps you guys
about the
remember this
future
about
of
how
our country. Be
American
excited. Be
tourists are
excited.
booing the European economy because so many people are going to Europe on vacation because we have so much disposable income, especially in the middle class.
And by the
I don't
way,
know.
I do think the right thing to do,
the
JBL, is
news
just depress
reports,
the dollar.
oh, look at all of
I think that if we
those
get Trump and
big
JD
networks.
in,
Look at them.
we
They're all
depress
here.
the dollar as much as
But
possible.
every one of
That's
them
gonna really
has
be the
said
answer.
this
What if
could
we could
be the
deflate
most organized, best run, and
prices?
most
What if we could do some
enthusiastic
deflation?
Yeah.
convention of
Get
either
we just
party
get
that
we get
they've
things a
ever
little bit
seen.
stagnant.
Every single
Bring in the deflation.
Yeah. Stagnation, deflation. That sounds
It's
good.
true.
That'll be
It's an
good.
idea. It's an idea. We'll test
It's
it out.
true.
We'll
And
see.
there's love in the room. There's great love in the room.
Tyler
I better
Durden,
finish
Bitcoin
strong.
64,000 in the comments.
Otherwise, we'll blow it.
Fantastic.
And we
Hey,
can't
bots.
let that happen. Now, this was great. All of the great people that spoke, and everybody hit a home run. I mean, there's not one that I can think of where I said, oh, gee, that wasn't great. Every single person. I refuse to be the only one. Don't do that to me. They're already getting ready. See, I gave them an idea. Now, this was a great convention. This was, I think we're actually going to go home and miss it. You know, usually with a first of all, look at these crowds. You'd never have this at a convention. Look at these crowds.
It's like this at every fucking convention.
You would never have a problem like this at a convention.
Love. It's about love. This week,
All about
the entire
love.
Republican Party has formally adopted an agenda for America's renewal, and you saw that agenda, and it's very short compared to the long, boring, meaningless agendas of the past, including the Democrats. They write these things that are hundreds of pages long, and they never read them after they're done. In their case, fortunately, they don't read them because they're pretty bad. It's a series of bold promises that we will swiftly implement when you give us a Republican House. And Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Guys, I think that
we have our great Speaker of the House with us tonight.
I think
Mr.
this
Speaker.
low T,
Thank you very
low
much.
energy,
Thank
just
you.
sort of meander around stuff. He's
A
going to look
Republican
very, very
Senate. We
weak
have many senators
compared
here.
with like a vigorous Kamala.
And send me back to
Am I
our
wrong?
beautiful White House just a
No,
few
I'm just
months
just
from
posting
now.
this.
We're talking about just months.
He's good
It
when
can't
he's.
come
Everybody makes fun
fast
of in
enough.
our world
We
and
have to get it
resistance
done.
porn world. People are like the
First, we
shark
must
and
get
electricity
economic
thing.
relief
So weird
to
and
our citizens.
that's what he's
Starting
good.
on day one,
That's
we will
what
drive
plays.
down
That's what
prices
plays.
and make
Like
America
his funny, the
affordable
bits,
again.
the
We have to make it
gangs, and then
affordable. It's not
mixing in. And by
affordable.
the way, the migrants are coming.
People can't live
Like
like
mixing
this.
in the dark
Under
with
this
the light. It's like the sweet
administration,
and salty
Our
mixed
current
together. That works
administration,
for him.
groceries are up
Just doesn't work.
57%.
I don't think
Gasoline
this
is up
hurts him,
60
but it
and
definitely doesn't help
70%.
him.
Mortgage rates have
I don't think.
And the fact is, it doesn't matter what they are because
I'll
you
put it
can't
this
get
way. I
the
think
money
anybody who's
anyway.
watching this
Can't buy
is either
houses.
watching,
Young
they're
people
either
can't
hate
get
watching
any
it because they hate
financing
him,
to
or
buy
they're
a
love
house.
watching
The
it because they
total
love him.
household costs
And
have
I
increased
am
an average
skeptical
of
that this sort of thing
$28,000 per family
sways
under
voters.
this
But
administration.
it definitely doesn't help him. 'Cause
Republicans
again,
have
it's
a
just
plan
boring.
to
It's
bring
fucking-
down
it's fucking
prices
boring.
and
There
bring
aren't
them
any
down
clips. I
very,
mean, maybe
very
maybe you
rapidly
could find a
by
clip from the
slashing energy
preamble
costs. We will
about the
You'll get the
shooting.
clip of him
reduce the
kissing the
cost
fire
of
helmet.
transportation, manufacturing, and all household goods.
But I
so
gotta
much
say,
starts with energy. And
Again,
remember,
this
we
is,
have
you know,
more liquid
strong-
gold
this
under our
doesn't look
feet than any other
strong.
country by far. We are
If
a nation
Kamala does
that
what
has the
I
opportunity
think she can
to
do,
make an
like she puts on her
absolute fortune with
hard-ass
its energy.
prosecutor face.
We have it, and China does it.
She's
Under
faster
the
on
Trump
her feet.
administration,
right?
just 3.5
This has always been my
years
argument with
ago,
Harris, is that she
we were
should
energy
be, she
independent,
needs to pivot
but soon
immediately back
we will
to,
actually be
I put
better
people
than
in
that.
jail.
We will
I'm
be
a
energy
tough
dominant and supply
prosecutor.
not
I'm going
only
to prosecute
ourselves, but
this
we will
campaign,
supply
and
the
I
rest
will
of the
not
world
going to call off the, investigations, blah, blah, blah.
with numbers
Like,
that
I think
nobody
that
has
is
ever
what
seen,
she,
and we
I
will
like
reduce
her
our
versus
debt.
him better than versus JD
$36
too, in a
trillion.
lot of ways.
We will start reducing that, and
I do have an
we
important
will
question
also
for you,
reduce your
JVL,
taxes
though.
still further.
There might be
Next.
something changing here
And
that's
by the
kind
way,
of
they wanna
important
raise your
in the nature, in
taxes
the kind of nature of the race.
4 times.
And
Think of
that's
it. And all
if
my life,
this
I
is
grew
going to
up
be the
watching
Trump that we
politicians.
have.
I always loved
I
politics.
think he might
guess I was on
lose
the
the
other side.
charisma key
I watched politics, and
in
they were always
Professor
talking
Alan
about, we will
Lichtman's
give
keys
you a
to
tax cut.
victory.
We will give you a tax cut.
And the
My
charisma
whole
key
life
might
I
go
was
to the other
watching, I will
side.
give you a tax
So
cut.
I don't know how
Congressman,
that
that's all they talk about.
impacts
well,
the
This is
question
the
of
only
whether
administration
Trump.
that said we're going to
Yeah, I don't
raise
know
your
what I don't
taxes
know
by
how that
4 times
impacts
what you're
the
paying
keys.
now,
We're
and
gonna have to
people
go
are
back and
supposed
look
to
at
vote
that.
for them.
Yeah.
I've
Well,
never
there might
heard
be
it.
secret keys.
You're paying
also,
too much. We're going
Tim,
to reduce
correct
your
me if I'm wrong. I'm
taxes.
not an expert on
Still further,
Lichtman's
we gave you
keys.
the biggest one, as I
but,
said. We're going to give you
did he
more,
invent a new key
and it's
today?
going to lead to tremendous
Was there
growth.
like
We
a, was
want
there like
growth in our
Yeah.
an
country.
invisible
That's
key
what's
that
going
was
to
on
pay off
the
our
No, he
debt.
didn't invent a new key. He said that to get one of the pre-existing
And
keys,
next, we will end the
Joe
ridiculous
couldn't just
and
pass it off to
actually
Kamala. He'd have to
incredible waste
resign
of
and make her the
taxpayer
president
dollars
so that she could get the
fueling
presidency
inflation
key.
crisis. They
Gotcha,
spent
gotcha,
trillions of dollars.
Sorry,
on
I
things
am not an
having to do
expert
with
of the
Green News
Lichtman's,
scam. It's a scam.
legend of
And
Lichtman
that's
dungeon,
caused
where you have to find
tremendous
the
I'm
keys.
happy to update you.
inflationary
I'm well
pressures in
versed on all the
addition to
keys.
the cost of energy. And all of the trillions of dollars that are sitting there not yet spent, we will redirect that money for important projects like roads, bridges, dams, and we will not allow it to be spent on meaningless green new scam ideas.
oh, the ones that Mitch McConnell and the Republicans all
And I
voted
will
for.
end the electric vehicle mandate on day one. Thereby saving the U.S. auto industry from complete obliteration, which is happening right now, and saving U.S. customers thousands and thousands
Where's
of dollars
Elon on
per
that?
car.
Where is Elon on the Trump hates electric cars?
And right now, as we speak, large factories
Out of curiosity.
just started.
That's a great question. I
are
don't know. I
being
blocked him
built
on Twitter.
across the board.
Elon
years ago. I couldn't
engaged.
handle it.
With all the other things happening.
I don't
on
have
board.
this exactly right. Recently, Elon did
make cars and
like
to
do a
sell them into
reply
our
to a
country.
Trump tweet or
No
something
tax, no
in the last
anything.
few months, like
The United
defending
Auto
electric
Workers ought
cars.
to be ashamed ashamed.
But then, like, let it
for
go, and then a
allowing
bunch of
this
people were
to
dunking
happen.
on him about
And
how
the
he's
leader
tough.
of the
I'm pretty
United
sure that
Auto
happened.
Workers
I don't
should be
think I
fired
imagined that. It's hard to
immediately, and
remember what's
every
real and
single
what's
auto
fake these
worker,
days.
union and non-union,
Because
should be voting
EVs
for
are
Donald
for
Trump
cucks,
because we're going to bring back
but also
car
all the alpha
manufacturing,
giga
and we're gonna
chads
bring
drive
it
a
back
drive a
fast.
cyber truck. is my understanding.
I tell you what, man. Every time there's a guy who has
building
there's a
some of the
Cybertruck parked
largest
down the
auto
street from my
plants
house, and every
anywhere
time
in
I
the
see it, I
world.
laugh
Think
out
of it.
loud.
In the world,
it's the
we're going to
funniest
bring it
looking
back. We're
vehicle
going
I've
to
ever
make
seen
them.
in my
We
life.
don't mind the.
To
we
the
don't mind
extent
that
that
happening,
I have
but those
a
plants are going
young
to be
son,
built in
and
the
he
United
has started
States, and our
getting mad at
people
me when I
are
do this
going
because
to
he just
man
loves all
those
vehicles.
plants.
He loves all trucks.
Yeah.
And so when I start making fun of the Cybertruck, it really hurts him. So I've had to like tone it down a little bit.
Did you see the raccoon story on the Cybertruck?
Yeah, well,
This is too good to
they're
check.
breaking into the Cybertrucks.
Yeah, because they think
they
it's a
look like
trash can.
dumpsters.
And they will be unsellable
I can't
in the
believe
United States.
that's too good to be true. It has to be
Yeah,
fake.
too good
but
to
it
check.
does make me laugh.
Guys, we're now 3 hours into this live stream. 3 hours.
Good.
This is like Heart of Darkness
countries
stuff.
are considered so-called
I've
allies.
been here for
They're
2
taking
hours and
advantage of us
59
for
minutes
years.
of it.
We
So
lose jobs, we
I'm
lose
feeling
revenue,
it.
and they gain
fun.
everything and wipe out our
People are
businesses,
still
wipe out our-
streaming in.
I stopped
They're
it for
just,
4 years. I stopped.
Give me more.
And we're
More
really
Sonny.
ready to make changes.
Nobody
like
wants more
nobody
Sonny.
gets
Tens of
sick.
thousands, Sonny.
Remember,
Tens of thousands. No, more
USMCA
people have watched this
got rid of
live
NAFTA,
stream
the
than
worst
any
trade deal ever made, and replace
in
it
the
with
history
USMCA, which
of
is
America.
they say the
Tens
best
of
trade
thousands. It was a
deal ever
beautiful
made.
day. Beautiful sunny
Actually,
day.
probably the best trade deal was
was
the deal
lovely.
they made with China, where they buy
Birds
$50
were chirping.
billion worth of our product. They were
2,500
buying
people
nothing.
watching right now. That's
They buy
pretty
$50 billion worth. They had
Carmine wants
to,
more Sonny.
but I don't even
Nobody
talk
wants
about it because of COVID. I don't even mention it, frankly, because of what happened with the China virus.
The China virus. It's back.
We will not let
Give me some
countries
racism.
come in.
I want to cheer. I'm getting
take our
bored.
jobs and plunder our nation. They come and do that. They plunder our nation. The way they will sell their product in America is to build it in America. Very simple. Build it in America and only in America.
I'm going to take this as good news, guys. I'm turning my view around. This I don't know that this guy has it to be Mussolini. This isn't it. This isn't. He's not giving off Gaddafi, Mussolini vibes to me right now.
He doesn't have the juice.
Congress has to
Yeah,
go
there's
along
no
with us,
juice.
and they will.
Oh, what were
Does
you
he
saying?
have the
The
Riz?
heat? What were you saying? The Riz. No Riz. What were you saying about wrestling? The
We
heat?
will take over the auto
The heat.
industry.
He sucked his
again.
own heat.
Many, hundreds of thousands of jobs. We lost. So
I don't
many
know that I
jobs
go
over
that
the years.
far.
If you go
But the
back
more I
20,
see of this, the
25
more
years, they've stolen
it's
going to China
one
and
thing.
Mexico.
I
About
just think the
68%
contrast
of our auto
against
industry manufacturing jobs.
Kamala at
We're
her
gonna get 'em all
best
back. We're going to get them all back. Every
is
one
very
of them.
bad for him.
I
He looks old and he looks like the past.
I was saying earlier, by the way,
are
are you ready for this one-liner that Team Democracy would have? Trump would be older
very popular
than
actually.
Biden is
Here it's
by
very
the time he
popular.
leaves.
This building and all those
Yeah,
hotels.
so all of a
that
sudden
it's
it's like a win-win. We get a
nice
talking
one.
point and you get to totally
called
flip the
no
age thing. I mean, this
tax
guy is like, he
on
looks
tips.
tired.
No tax on
I do think the no
tax
tax
on
on
tips.
tips
I
thing
love
is
this.
good. It's good.
I love this ridiculous policy more than
absurd
anything
and
else he's
stupid,
talked
but it's
about.
good.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb, and people love it because people are dumb. But they're like, it's like what other carve outs for income are we going to have?
No tax on wages.
I want to pay no taxes on my Bitcoin earnings. Can I do that?
Hello.
Can we make that a thing? I just
I'll
like.
see you there very soon, everybody. And we're having dinner at a beautiful
I
restaurant
like
in
coconut.
the Trump building on the Strip, and it's a great building. And waitress comes
Great
over. How's
building.
everything going? Really nice person. How's everything? Oh, sir, it's so tough. The government's
Sir.
after me.
She
all
said
the
to me
time.
with tears in her eyes.
Tips. I said, well, they give you cash. Would they be able to find him? She said, actually, and I didn't know this. She said, very little cash is given. It's all put right on the check. And they come in and they take so much of
I
our
didn't
money.
know this.
It's ridiculous.
That's how
They
people
don't
pay for
even-
things.
People use cards now. Wow, fascinating.
As you know.
But see,
Like, his other
it
bit
would be
that-
weird if George H.W. Bush did it.
From even more.
Then it would be a scandal. But when Trump does it, totally fine.
My favorite bit about the
And I
tax on
said,
tips thing,
This shows the level
shows
of
you how
you
80s
know,
he
most
is
people
he's
go out,
like,
they hire
in
consultants
his
that pay
more
millions
upbeat,
of
more
dollars.
joie de vivre filled
But I said
previous
to her,
stump
let me
speeches,
just ask you
he
a
does things
question.
like, so
You'd be
next
happy if
time,
you had no
next
tax on
time
tips.
you order
What
it
a great
and you
idea.
get your meal
I
and the
got my
food
information
comes
from a
and
very
you write
smart
on the
waitress.
you
That's
write
better
on
than
there,
spending millions
vote
of dollars.
Trump, no tax on tips.
And
Which has a
everybody,
couple problems. Number one, that's a lot to write
Everybody
on the
loves
little
it.
receipt. And number two, it's like
waitresses
most
and
places you're just
caddies and
pressing the button now.
drivers and Everybody's
Not a lot.
large.
But
large
Trump still
group of
thinks
people that are
everybody's
being really hurt
Get
badly.
cards.
They
We make up
money, let them
cards, so
keep
when you
their
press the
money.
button, you can hand the guy the card.
I'm going
No
to
text.
protect Social Security and Medicare. Democrats are going to destroy Social Security and
Just
Medicare
the tip.
because all of these people, by the millions they're coming in, they're going to be
TTT.
on Social Security and Medicare and other things, and you're not able to afford it. They are destroying your Social Security and your Medicare. Under my plan, incomes will skyrocket, inflation will vanish completely, jobs will come roaring back.
I
and
am
the
sorry,
middle class
but
will
the reason the
prosper
entitlements
like
are collapsing
never,
is not
ever
because of
before,
immigrants.
and we're going to do it very
Immigrants
rapidly.
sustain the entitlements to the extent that they are sustainable.
That's
What
interesting.
bankrupts the entitlements is people having
But
fewer
no hope or
babies
dream we
and
have
living
for
long.
America can succeed
Those
unless
are the
we
things.
stop
Jimmy,
The
would
jobs
you-
roaring back. JVL, we do have a big job
Invasion, the
deficit in
worst
this
that's
country,
ever
right?
been
There's a
seen
big
anywhere in
shortage,
the
a lot of
world.
unemployed.
Huge
Invasion like
shortage.
this
I mean,
anywhere.
it's
Third
only been
world
36
countries would
months
fight with
with
sticks
unemployment
and
below
stones
4%.
Not to let this happen. The invasion at our southern border, we will
That's
stop it, and
interesting.
we will stop it quickly. You heard Tom Homan
And with
yesterday.
strength.
Tom Homan.
Well, we
Please.
have a very powerful solution to stop that. I'll be telling you more about it soon.
Brandon
His
Judd.
belly's starting to stick up
Border
out there.
Patrol.
Don't
too.
wanna say it
Again,
right
good
here.
Contrast.
You know, they really, their job is a lot easier if they don't have to do anything. But they watch
No.
the Patriots, Brandon Judd, Border Patrol, ICE. ICE goes out. You have to see what ICE does with MS-13. You have these are probably the worst gang, and ICE goes in there. And I know a lot of people.
MS-13
on
is
these
still
roads, they're
back, playing the
very tough
hits.
people, but they don't want to do this job. They'll go into a pack of MS-13 killers. They're the worst, probably the worst gangs in the world. And we have thousands of them. I moved thousands and thousands out in my 4 years. We moved them out, and it was a pleasure. But ICE would go right into a pack of these killers, and you see fists flying, you see everything flying, and then they take them. They put them in a paddy wagon. They take them back and they get them out of our country. And the other countries weren't accepting them back. And I called up and I said, tell them that we're not giving them economic aid anymore. And the next day I got calls from all of these countries that were
Well, guys,
billions of dollars we spend on economic aid.
the
to
non-politics friends text
no good.
think that he sounds
The next
like
day
that.
I was called by everybody. I
Who-
could take all the
who says
sir,
that?
sir, what's the problem? I said, you
Separate
won't
and
take
multiple
your
text chains
killers
happening.
back
The
that you
off of
sent
the non-sicko
in
chain.
caravans into America. You won't
Seems
take them
not
back.
crazy.
Sir, if you'd like us to,
They
we
like
would
the
give very
waitress
serious
thing.
consideration to doing that. And within 24
tax the
hours,
tips.
they were being
Don't
taken
tax the
back
tips. That's
for
a-
years and years. When I
It's
first
like
came
something
in,
you'd see on Always Sunny in
they said
Philadelphia.
President
like
Obama tried to
running
get him to go
for,
back,
you
and they
know,
wouldn't accept him.
Philadelphia
They
City
put planes
Council.
on the runway so you
Don't
couldn't
tax
leave.
your
They
tips.
closed the road so you couldn't take the buses. They'd all have to turn back. As soon as I said
I just
no
have
more
to challenge
economic
that
aid of
anybody
any
could
kind to
possibly
any
suffer
country
through
that
all
does
this.
that, they called back and they said, sir, it would be our great honor to take MS-13. We love them very much.
Sir, they said to him, sir, with tears in their eyes.
We want the
them
MS.
very
Bring
much,
us the
sir. We'll take them
MS-13, sir.
Right. Barry, I'm
At the
ducking out
heart
for
of
another
the
minute.
Republican
Where are you
platform,
Be
going?
on the lookout for Bring Me Back In.
Where are you
Right
going?
there, fully
Just
restored
leave
the
the-
sacred
just
and
leave the
sovereign
room and
borders of
leave
the
your thing
United
on.
States of America, and we're going to do that on day one. That means two things on day one, right?
Two things on day one.
Drill, baby, drill, and close our borders. And by the way,
Sir,
and I think everybody as a
please give us all your
Republican, as a
MS-13.
patriot
I
in
just
this room,
can't.
most Democrats, we want people to come into our country, but they have to come into our country legally. Legally. Less than 4 years ago, I handed this administration the strongest border in American history. But you can see on the chart that saved my life, that was the chart that saved my life. I said, look it, I'm so proud of it. I think it's one of the greatest. It was done by the Border Patrol, one of the greatest charts I've ever seen. It showed everything just like that. You know the chart.
Have a incoming text from someone who, like me and like many of you, is coconut pill.
Last time I put up that chart, I never really got to
Text
look at it.
reads, I'm legit worried it's bad enough to keep Biden in the
Without that
race.
chart, I would not be here today.
There's no way Biden's awake right now, Watch. Come on. I find that hard to
Never
believe.
got to look at it.
Yeah. I mean, the real sickos who watch the rallies all concur that this is bad.
I said, you got to see this chart. I was so proud of it. And by the time I got to there, I never got to see it that day. But I'm seeing it now, and I was very proud. And if you look at the arrow in the bottom, that's the lowest level, the one on the bottom, heavy red arrow. That's the lowest level of illegal immigrants ever to come into our country in recorded history, right there. Right there. And that was my last week in office. And then you see what happened after I left. Look at the rest. And if you go out a little bit further, it's getting to be a little bit
the
old.
chart. This is the famous
But I
chart.
love it anyway, right? But you can go
It's
much
kind of a-
higher.
That chart saved his life.
It's kind of a busy chart. So all respect to the fact that the chart saved his life, and
we stopped the invasion.
but as just as an objective matter, as a chartophile,
to what happened after
a little
I
too
left.
much going
What
on in the
happened
chart.
after I
You
left.
know, you got to
They took over our
simplify.
country. We ended
Too
all
many
catch and
arrows.
release.
Well, it's a
Too
tough
many
chart.
words.
Down
It's a
asylum
tough chart
fraud.
in
We
a
stopped
setting like
human
this, where you've got to like
trafficking
read a
and
lot of
forged historic
things.
agreements
This is
to
like
keep
the
illegal
Herblock of charts.
aliens
It's, there's
on
too much
foreign soil.
text.
We want them to stay on their soil. Under the Trump administration, if you came in illegally, you were apprehended immediately and you were deported. You went right back. The current administration terminated every single one of those great Trump policies that I put in place to seal the border. I wanted a sealed border. Again, come in, but come in legally. You know how unfair it is? So many people, hundreds of thousands of people, have been working for years to come into our country. And now they see these people pour into our country at levels that are unprecedented. So unfair. And we're not going to do it. We're not going to
I
stand
got
for
another incoming text. Just keeping you guys posted on what real
all
people are saying.
construction ended, remain in
It's
Mexico.
wild to watch
Remain in
9-year-olds
Mexico.
watch
You think that
this.
was easy to
Really
get
geared to
from the
them,
government?
right
Yes.
on their level.
To us.
I
If
think
you
that's
don't
right.
give it to
He
us,
speaks
there
at
will
like
be
a 9-year-old
repercussions.
level.
Give it to us.
I've
Not
got
easy.
I got
Canceled our
something that
safe
just
third
hit me.
agreements.
Is it about how busy
Demolished
this
Title
chart is?
42, implemented
No.
nationwide.
No, I
catch and
want to tell
release,
you something.
Catch and release, where we
That
catch them
chart,
and release them into our
that
country.
chart
It saved his
I
life.
had to catch
saved
them and
Donald
release them
Trump's
into
life.
Mexico.
It was providential, some would say.
And took 93.
Because-
The chart of God,
Because
you would
God
You
hates
might-
immigrants.
God's
Am I
chart.
reading?
Also, say that Joe Biden's immigration policies,
our border to the world, the entire
which
world
are
was pouring into
why
our
that chart was created, saved Donald Trump's life.
The greatest
Wouldn't
invasion
you?
in history is
And
taking
so-
place.
well,
right
that
here
would make
in
sense
our
because
country.
God is
They are
pro-immigration
coming in
because
from
Jesus was an
every corner
immigrant.
of the earth,
So
not
it kind of
just
goes
from
full
South
circle.
America, but from Africa.
I'm just saying
Asia,
that this is a sliding
Middle
doors
East. They're
moment,
coming
and
from
where
everywhere.
Donald
They're
Trump
coming
ought
at
to be
levels that
saying,
we've
if
never
not
seen
for Joe
before.
Biden's immigration
It is an
policies, I
invasion
might be
indeed.
dead.
And this
And
administration
so
does
maybe
absolutely
Biden's
nothing to
immigration
stop them.
policies, net,
They're
are
coming
good.
from prisons. They're coming from jails.
I
They're
gotta
coming
say,
from mental
this is the
institutions
best I can
and
say about
insane
this speech.
asylums.
Is
I
it
say
really?
that
I think it really
I
limits
say this.
the
Has
efficacy
anyone seen
of the
Silent
Trump is
Silverlamps?
Hitler and Trump is a dictator arguments coming
The
from
late great
the left,
Hannibal Lecter.
because nobody looks
Oh, he
at this
did it!
person.
There he
did
is.
Hannibal
There-
Lecter.
He did the
For dinner.
Lecter thing. He did it. Somebody asked Anthony Hopkins about this, and he was
That's insane
and
asylums.
Hopkins was
They're
like,
emptying out
he
their
said what?
insane asylums.
Oh my, that's terrible.
And terrorists are
It's
coming
just,
in at numbers that we've
delightful.
never
See if I
seen
can find it.
before. Bad things are going to happen.
Nobody could think this
Meanwhile,
guy
our
could be
crime
Hitler.
rate is going up while crime statistics all over the world are going
Our
down.
crime rates are not going
They're
up.
criminals and
They
they're
went
putting
up
them into
under
our
you.
country.
You.
A certain country, and I
All
happen
those
to like
increases took place in
the
2020 when
president
you were
of that country
president.
very much, but he's been getting great publicity.
Crime's been
because
going
he's
down every single
wonderful
year under Joe Biden.
shepherd of the country. He says how well the country's doing because their crime rate is down. And he said he's training all of these rough people. They're rough. He's training them. And I've been reading about this for 2 years. I think, oh, that's wonderful. Let's take a look at it. But then I realized he's not training them. He's sending all of his criminals, his drug dealers, his people that are in jails. He's sending them all to the United States. And he's different in that he doesn't say that. He's trying to convince everybody what a wonderful job he does in running the country. Well, he doesn't do a wonderful job. And by the way, if I ran one of the countries, many countries from all over, I would be worse than any of them. I would have had the place totally emptied out already.
What? What?
But we become a dumping ground for the rest of the world, which is
I think he's saying that he would have scared off.
If he ran like Ecuador, he would have emptied the prisons and sent them to
America.
America. That's what he would have done.
Yeah.
What I can tell you.
Sonny, are we supposed to do like a post show after this is over?
I
How are we going to do that?
Is that I can't do it. Is that a serious policy proposal?
We got to have Sam come on and tell us how the floor handled the moment when Donald Trump said he wishes he was in charge of Uruguay, so he could have opened up the prisons.
Because in Venezuela, crime is down 72%. In fact,
in Venezuela, crime is down.
I hate to even say that. We will have our next Republican convention in Venezuela because it will be safe. Our cities,
I thought that they were anti-Venezuela because of the freaking Tommy.
We will not be able to have it there. In El Salvador, murders are down by 70%. Why are they down? Now, he would have you convinced that because he's trained murderers to be wonderful people. No. They're down because they're sending their murderers to the United States of America.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm on Google right now. From the Safety and Security University travel advice from Britain's Office of Safety and Security. Venezuela has one of the highest murder rates in the world. Armed robbery, mugging, carjacking, and burglary are all very common and often accompanied by extreme violence.
Eisenhower.
The El Salvador one is interesting because El Salvador actually did a very good job of reducing their crime, and they did it by throwing tons of people in jail. They broke up the gangs and threw everybody. They didn't send them to America. It wasn't what?
So there has been a fall in crime in Venezuela because Nicolas Maduro, who is a communist strongman, who I think Trump hates. This is how they did well with Cuban American votes in Florida, right? By talking endlessly about Venezuela.
The road in a shallow
but I guess now the commie strongmen in Venezuela are good, actually.
Charged with
what is happening here?
Heinous murder of 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela who came across our border, were in custody, and were then released into the country by this horrible, horrible administration that we have right now.
The murders!
Recently, with the heartbroken
Hannibal Lecter. They've sent Hannibal Lecter to America.
Rachel was a 37-year-old mom of 5.
That Clinton 88 speech is a classic on Dead Caesar. You don't.
While out on a run, she wanted to
William Jefferson Clinton's name out of your mouth right now.
She was murdered.
He has some pacing, at least, with his rambles.
Another woman in El Salvador before he was led into America by the White House. This White House.
Hannibal Lecter.
He then attacked a 9-year-old girl and her mother in a home invasion in Los Angeles before murdering
Get the migrant crime
traveled all throughout the country, doing tremendous damage. Rachel's mother will never be the same. I spent time with her. She will never be the same. I've also met with the wonderful family of Laken Riley, the brilliant 22-year-old nursing student. She was so proud of being first in her class, who was out for a jog on the campus.
Okay, just keeping you guys posted on my text here. I think he's on an opiate.
And horrifically killed. Yet another American life was stolen by a criminal alien set free by this administration. And these were incredible people we're talking about. These were incredible people who died. Tonight, America, this is my vow. I will not let these killers and criminals into our country. I will keep our sons and daughters safe. As we bring security to our streets, we will help bring stability to the world. I was the first president in modern times to start no new wars. You know, we were the toughest, we were the most respected. And you saw this. Hungry, strong country run by very powerful, tough leaders. Tough guy. Press doesn't like him because he's tough. And he came out recently. They were asking him at an interview, the whole world is exploding. What's happening? What's going on? Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, very tough man. He said, I don't want people coming into my country and blowing up our shopping centers and killing people. But they said to him, tell us
what's
going on.
You touched the ear, Will? I missed that.
What is it? He said, there's only one way you're going to solve it. You got to bring.
So I had an interesting question for you. We were chatting about this
because he
earlier over there at 30 Rock. And or maybe I talked about this with Kinzinger. I don't know. It's been a long day. Do you think there's a bite out of his ear underneath that gloss? Do you think there's a missing part of ear, or
I'm not a bragger? But Viktor Orban said it. He said Russia was afraid of him. China was afraid of him. Everybody was
That's
afraid
what I
of
thought
him.
as well. Adam was on the other side. Said he's vain. It was
The
Adam.
whole
Adam
world
was saying he's
at peace,
vain
and now
and would
the
want to cover it
world
up.
is blowing up around us.
But then he's going to wear that big ear pillow for the rest of his life.
I don't. What? No.
Under President Bush, Russia invaded Georgia. Under President Obama, Russia
It does
took
feel like
Crimea.
instead of Hulk Hogan, they should have had
Under
Evander.
the current
Evander's got to be
administration,
a MAGA.
Russia
Don't
is
you think?
after all of
JBL,
Ukraine.
you think Evander, the real deal Holyfield, is MAGA?
Russia took nothing.
I feel like you probably can't talk very well.
JBL, you're just thinking about that? You just can't hear me? You're spacing out?
JBL.
I'm sorry. I absolutely spacing out. I was
What were you
listening to
thinking
him
about?
talking about. I was just listening to him talking about how Russian aggression is all the fault of George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was asking if you thought Evander, the real deal Holyfield, was MAGA. Because if so, it feels like he should have been brought out for the ear bite. And they could have had an tough guy ear moment.
Yeah, but the Evander Holyfield ear thing is like played for laughs.
This
has to be deadly serious, and nobody else can have suffered the way the great leader suffered.
I said that how could you get along with it?
That's a good point. That's
You know,
as
Tucker said, he wasn't shot in the ear; he was shot in the face.
Weapons or otherwise.
Also, is Mike Tyson a Donald
See,
Trump
in the old
guy?
days,
I
they
feel
say
like
that's a
Mike Tyson
wonderful
might
thing.
be
Now
a
they
Donald
say
Trump
He
guy.
has
how
to
could
be.
you possibly do that?
Evander.
Don King's a Trump guy.
I was correct.
Missile launchers from
I was
North
correct.
Korea.
Here we go. Evander, the real deal
When
Holyfield,
we get back, I
November
get
3,
along with them.
2018.
You'd like to see me
Came
back
on stage
too.
at a Donald
I think he
Trump
misses
event.
me, if you want to know the truth. Our opponents inherited a world at peace and turned it into a planet of war. We're in a planet of war. Look at that attack.
War planet!
Happening with Ukraine. The cities are just bombed out. How can people live like that where massive buildings are falling to the ground? It began to unravel with the disastrous withdrawal from
You got to stay around,
Afghanistan.
Sonny. You can't go
Humiliation
anywhere.
in the history of our country. We have never had a humiliation like that. 13 heroic U.S. service members were
Evander
tragically
did come back to fight
killed.
against
45 others
Vitor
were
Belfort
horrifically
in
wounded.
2021 with an L as an L,
No arms, no legs.
age 58.
Face explosions. Horrifically wounded. And by the way, we have a man in this room who's running for the U.S. Senate from a great state, Nevada, named Sam Brown, who paid the ultimate price. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. Thank you. He paid the biggest price.
I must have been focused on Evander. I missed that he
for office, and I think
complimented
he's going to do great.
Victor Orban.
Running against a person that is
Powerful
not
and tough leader, tough guy. Press doesn't like him
total
because he's tough.
lightweight. But Sam, I think paid really. We were talking about it with some of the senators that are working so hard.
Why
for
does the
him.
press not like Biden? Is it also
But he
because he's
paid
so
the biggest
tough?
price
Or is
of
that a
any
different
senator
reason?
ever to run for the Senate? I don't think anybody.
Because he's so horrible.
He was a real
Worse
hero,
than
a
history.
really great person.
Yeah,
And
that's
he's
probably
running,
it.
and I hope that everybody gets out and
It's
votes.
11:46.
In the East, yeah. How many minutes are we into this thing?
And we also left behind
Hour 15, aren't we?
$85 million worth of military equipment, along with many American citizens. Were
Jim
left
Swift
behind.
says a page and a third left of the text.
Many American citizens,
15
emboldened
more
by that
minutes.
disaster, Russia invaded Ukraine. They saw this group of people that were incompetent. We took the soldiers out first. No, we're going to take the soldiers out second. If they would have followed my plan, we had a great plan. But the plan only kicked in if they did everything perfectly, and they weren't doing things perfectly. So we said it doesn't kick in. 18 months in Afghanistan, We didn't have one, so they were killing them left and right, snipers. And I spoke to the head of the Taliban. You've heard this story. Abdul, still there, still the head of the Taliban. The press got on me. Why would you speak to him? I said, because that's where the killing is. I don't have to speak to somebody that has nothing to do with it. And I told him, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that again. Don't ever, ever do that.
And he said,
again.
sir, with tears in his
During
eyes.
the Obama administration, many great people and soldiers, a lot of soldiers were being killed from long distance. I said, if you keep doing that, you're going to be hit harder than anybody's ever been hit by a country before.
Imagine what this guy's speeches are going to sound like in 2027. Age 81.
And he said, I understand.
Round in the corner, thinking about whether he wants to challenge the Constitution.
I wonder if he calls the other guy Your
power.
Excellency. I doubt it.
He just said that the leader of the Taliban referred to him as Your Excellency.
Do you know that right now Afghanistan is
Have
one
you
of
heard
the
that? Is
largest
that a thing that we've heard reported before?
in the world? They're selling the
even better than sir
weapons that we.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a real sign of respect.
But think of it. He actually said to me, "But why do you
encourages respect from
show
everyone?
me a picture of my home?" I said, "You'll have to ask your people or one of your wives."
Yeah, we did know that.
But he could figure it out. And for 18 months, we had not one attack on an American soldier by the Taliban. 18 months.
That's right. How long was Trump's term? Was it just 18 months? Or was it longer than that?
Right?
And then we had that horrible day where soldiers were killed.
It had to be a few more than 18.
I mean,
ridiculous election.
It's like saying that, you know, for 3 of his years, for 3 years, the economy in America was great under Trump.
The world air bases, anywhere
You
in the
know,
world, the longest
those other
runways,
things,
powerful,
they don't count.
hardened, thickened runways. We gave it up. And I liked it not because of Afghanistan. I liked it because of China. It's 1 hour away from where China makes their nuclear weapons. And you know who has it now? China has it now. We were keeping that.
Was that
So
part
what
of the
were we
plan?
keeping?
Now China is
Bagram?
likewise circling
It was
Taiwan
Bagram.
and
His plan, he
nuclear
was going to
submarines are
retreat from
operating
Afghanistan with
60
strength.
miles off the coast.
Keep
But he was
Bagram.
going to hold on to Bagram?
Right.
Come the fuck on.
Because we needed that to combat China.
Because it was an hour away from where China makes their
I will
nuclear
tell you
weapons.
the headlines
So
every
that's why
day
we
would
needed
be,
it.
what's wrong with our president? You don't even hear this. You're not hearing about this. Russia has nuclear submarines and warships 60 miles away, Mr. Congressman, from Miami, by the way, happens to be here. Correct? In Cuba. And that would not be stood for if it were somebody
Little
else.
crowd there. You know,
want to mention it, but now
what's
maybe
he planning on doing with the nuclear submarines
and the
in
entire
Russia?
world.
Off Florida, Mr.
I tell you this, we want our hostages back, and they better be back before I assume office, where you will be paying a very big price.
I like the angry face. No, that's not news. We knew about the submarines. That's not news. Hey, what's happened? How are things over at Majority Report? We look as tired as they did. I've got, I don't know what you're talking about. I've got nothing but energy. High energy.
Years of war,
I'm having a La Colombe. I think the
chaos
speech. I hope
will be
I'm hoping
over.
we go another 45 more
Had
minutes.
wars. I had no wars other
I
than
want to
ISIS.
test
which I
everybody's
defeated.
endurance.
That was a war
Shut
that
your
was
goddamn
started. We
mouth.
had no wars. I could stop wars with a telephone call.
Sonny, we're gonna have to.
I could stop wars with just a telephone.
Sonny's like sleepy Joe Biden up there. You know,
I gotta get
Doesn't
an
have-
IV in me.
he doesn't have the strength.
Sweating in here.
We will
You don't have the
replenish
vigor.
our military and build
can't
an
run for
Iron
president.
Dome missile defense system.
I can barely
to
watch
ensure
this
that
shit.
no
we're to
enemy
the
can
full
strike our
full
homeland.
continental
And
Iron
this
Dome
great Iron
system.
Dome will
Yeah.
be built
Oh, you didn't know about
Yes.
That
entirely.
I'm so glad he brought this up.
USA. We're going
This
to
is
build
the
it
most batshit insane thing I've
in
ever heard.
USA. And Wisconsin,
that? Not the most bad shit.
Wisconsin, just like I gave you that massive ship contract, and you're doing a very nice job, Governor, right? Thank you,
Is that
Governor.
right?
Contract?
They're doing a great job. In fact, I had a little design change, and we gave them a tremendous for essentially what we used to call destroyers. These are now the most beautiful. They look like yachts. I said we
I
have
got a
to take
report from
them
Tim
now, and we
Alberta
have to
standing
make
10
it a
feet from the
little
stage in a
nicer,
sea of
little
diehards. They're getting restless, checking
flat nose.
phones, Stealing glances at the teleprompter, whispering about when it will be over. Same, y'all. Same.
Governor,
I got to give Donald Trump this.
And it was a big
Work with me
contract
here.
that everybody wanted. I gave it
I've
to
got two theories.
We're going to have
Number
a lot
one,
of that built right here.
he wants to give a speech
Say
so
that
bad that Joe
Wisconsin
Biden
and
stays in the race.
all
That's
other
one theory.
states,
Number
Israel has
two,
Iron
he
Dome.
wants to give a
They have a
speech
missile
so
defense
long that afterwards
342
he can
missiles
just
were
focus
shot
on the
into
vigor
Israel,
and vitality
and only one got
and
through.
about
A
how
little bit. He
Joe
was
could
badly
not
wounded and
possibly
fell to the
stand for
ground.
that long.
Most of them are. And Ronald Reagan wanted this many years ago,
Is that
but we really
possible?
didn't have the technology many
Sure.
years ago. Remember
Sure.
they called it
I
Starship.
think both of those
Spaceship.
are great ideas. No,
Anything to mock him.
I think
He was
I
a
think
very
so,
good
who said
president.
that they
Very,
just
very
added
good.
30 minutes to the front of the speech? I think
Love
that's
it.
exactly what must
Love
have
it.
happened.
Nailed it.
Now we have unbelievable
right.
They didn't
technology.
rewrite anything. They
And
just were
why
like,
should other
well, he almost got shot.
countries
We got to
have
talk
this
about
and
that
we
for a bit.
don't? No, we're going to build an
Just
Iron
throw it in the
Dome
front.
over our country.
Throw it
Someone
in
in the comments,
Congratulations, John,
there,
love it. You
please,
nailed
will
that.
you go chase down this Wisconsin shipbuilding
Again, from
story?
economic development
Because I would like to
to make it all right
know
here. No more sending
which
it out to
naval
other countries in order
contracts
to
are
help.
being done
It's
in
America
Wisconsin.
first. America first.
Put a link in the comments for me, or just explain it to me,
Unleash
please.
the power of American innovation. And as we do, we will soon be on the verge of finding the
I
cures
will
to
say he has
cancer,
warmed up
Alzheimer's
a little bit in
disease, and
terms
many
of
other
the rhythm
diseases.
and the flow. I mean, it's
We're
still
going
like
to get to the
rambling and
bottom
whatever, but
of
it does feel like he is more
Remember
energetic, I
this,
think,
gentlemen, that
than
I
he
don't
was at the
want to mention
beginning.
other
This
Am
is
I
much
wrong?
closer to his campaign
When you said
kickoff
it was the 10
speech.
worst, I had to do
Yeah.
it. I
That
didn't
was
want
terrible.
anybody to be
Trump,
confused.
maybe Trump has bad days and
The
good days
States
too.
said,
You
we're
know,
gonna
he's almost
find the cure
81.
for cancer.
Trump,
Nothing happened.
here it is,
We're going to get to the
2020.
cure for cancer and
During the
Alzheimer's
campaign
and so
4
many
years
other
ago, Trump said that the
so
Navy
close
sent
to doing
$5
something
billion
great.
to the Wisconsin
But we
firm
need
for shipbuilding.
a leader that will
And one of
let
the
it be
big
done. We
factors
will
was
not
that their
have
state was a swing
men
state.
playing in women's sports. That will
All right,
end
so
in
Jim Swift says this is for LCS ships. I wonder how many of those of them, so littoral combat ships, the LCS, there are very, very few of them.
And we will restore and renovate our nation's once great cities, making them
It is
safe,
interesting
clean,
that
and
he
beautiful again.
confessed
And that
that
includes
it was a corrupt
our
use of
nation's
federal
capital,
funds
which is
to
a
help his reelection. Didn't
horrible
work the first
killing
time.
field.
Tough
So
break.
many
You never
things.
know,
They
though,
leave
the
for
Dominion voting
Wisconsin, they go to
machines,
look
etc.
at the
That's a
Washington
joke,
Monument,
YouTube.
They end up getting stabbed,
The
killed, or
joke.
shot.
Dominion voting machines were
We will
perfect.
be very soon very proud
We
of
love
our
Dominion.
capital. Again, Washington, D.C.
Bill, I wish Dominion would have played a little more hardball with Fox and taken
America
over.
is on the cusp of a
You know,
new golden age, but we
Fox
will
News brought to you by Dominion Voting Systems.
have the courage to seize it. We're going to take it. We're going to make it a current. I mean, we're going to bring this into a golden age like never seen before. Remember this, China wants to do it. Japan wants to do it. All of these countries want to do it. We have to produce massive amounts of energy if we're going to produce the new. If you look at some of the things that have been done and some of the things that we're going to do, but AI needs literally twice the electricity that's available now in our country. Can you imagine? But instead, we're spending places where they recharge electric
All right,
cars.
so this is
charges.
it's a $5 billion contract.
Midwest.
It was announced in 2020.
Charges
They
for
had
$9
been building the
billion. Think
LCS,
of them as a
but I think they're only like
for filling
2
up your gas.
LCSs that are
Think of it.
commissioned.
They
There was a
spent
third, but it's been
$9
decommissioned.
billion
And they've gone
on 8
and
charges, 3 of which didn't
this
work.
shipyard in Marinette is
And if you were
now
going to do
doing
this
heavily
all
armored
over our
frigates,
country, this
not
crazy
the
electric
LCS.
mandate, if you're going to do this, and by the way, I'm all for electric. They have their
All
application.
for electric.
But
Oh,
if somebody
there you go.
wants to buy a gas-powered car, gasoline,
That'd be all for electric when Elon's paying you $45 million a month.
they're going to be able to do it. And we're going to make that change on
By the way,
day one.
You're all still going to be able to buy your gas cars. The internal combustion engine is not going away. This is
Are you
insanity. It's like the fucking
So
gas
to
stoves.
To conclude,
few short
balloon
days
drop.
my
Boom.
journey with you nearly ended.
Balloons
You know
go.
that.
Right? Was that what
And
was the
yet,
famous?
Here we are tonight, all gathered
balloons.
together, talking about the future, promise, and a total renewal of a thing
I'm
we love
excited
very
for the
much.
balloon
It's
drop.
called America.
JVL needs a blunt. I
We
need
live
a blunt.
in a world
JVL's
of
a marijuana
miracles.
virgin.
None of us knows God's plan or where
You wouldn't know what to do
life's
with a blunt.
adventure will take us. I want to thank Franklin Graham for being here tonight. He's an outstanding man. He wrote me a note recently. I have a lot of respect for him.
Oh, man,
Sir, I love your storytelling. I think it's great in front of these big
Your
rallies.
Excellency.
But sir, please do me one favor. It won't make any difference. Please don't use any foul language. I was a little embarrassed. I said, he said, it won't make any difference. Actually, it does. The story's not quite as good, but I've been very good. The story is not quite as good, to be honest. I've got to have a little talk with Franklin, but he was great. He's a great gentleman. His father was so incredible. Billy Graham.
Round and
My father
round
used to love
skirt corner
taking me
here.
to see Billy Graham. My father would take
Coconut
me
can
to
beat
see
this
Billy
guy.
Graham
I
at
agree,
Yankee
Big
Stadium.
Lenny.
He had the biggest rallies you've ever seen. He was a good rally guy,
So
too.
can you explain to me the coconut thing,
But he'd
Tim?
get up and
How
he
do you not
was
get it at this point?
fantastic guy. My
What's up to
father.
get?
loved Billy
I just
Graham.
don't get
The
it.
coconut.
Did you not watch the video
But I
that I
love
put in the
coconut
podcast
that fell
today?
out of- Did you just fall out of the tree like a
and I'm
coconut?
trying. I'm working so
Jamie?
hard to adhere to his note to me.
Who
I'm
fell
working
out?
hard on it,
Kamala
Franklin.
has a bit where she
But
says,
if the events of last
my
Saturday
mom
make
always
anything
used to
clear,
say to me,
it is that every single
do
moment
you think
we
you just
have on
fell
earth
out of a
is a
coconut
gift
tree?
from God.
No, you live in the context of everything that came before you.
We have to make the most of every day
Okay.
for the people and for the country
down a
that
little
we
bit.
love. The attacker in Pennsylvania wanted to stop our movement, but the truth is,
Excuse
the
me.
Did he?
movement
You
has
exist
never
in the
been
context of all in which you
always been
live
about you.
and what
It's
came
the
before you.
biggest movement in the
A little more
history of our
complex.
country by far. Can't be stopped. It can't be stopped. It has always been about the hardworking, patriotic citizens of America. For too long, our nation has settled for too little. We settled for too little. We've given everything to other nations, to other people.
You really should watch Jamie's
You've
video.
been told to
6
lower your
seconds.
expectations and
mashup
to
of
accept less for your
Kamala's
families.
coconut line
I
with
am here tonight
Coconuts
with
by
the
Kim
opposite
Petras. It's a
message.
very popular
Your expectations
pop
are
song
not
in the
big
gay
enough.
community.
Not big enough.
Really, in 2023, it's a little bit out of favor right now. It would have been a better bit last summer.
is time
This
to
summer,
start
Brat.
Could she enter
expecting
to
and
it? Could that be her
demanding the
entrance
best
music at
leadership
the
in the
Democratic
world.
No, a little
convention?
sexual, a little too
Bold,
sexual
dynamic,
venture to it.
Relentless and fearless. We can do
Brat
that.
by Charlie
We
XCX
are
is actually
Americans.
the kind of
Ambition
hot
is our
gay
heritage.
dance
Greatness
album of
is
the
our
summer if you're
birthright.
interested.
But as long as our energies are spent fighting each other, our destiny will remain out of reach. And that's not acceptable.
This is some
We must
Stephen
instead
Miller really
take
knows
that
how to
energy
lift,
and use it
you
to
know, and
realize our
elevate.
country's true
You can kind
potential
of hear the
and write our own
the
thrilling
lyricism in
chapter of
Stephen Miller's
the
writing.
American story. We can do it together. We will unite. We are going to come together, and success will bring us together. It is a story of love, sacrifice, and so many other things. And remember the word devotion. It's unmatched devotion. Our American ancestors
Midnight.
crossed
It's
the Delaware
midnight in New York City, guys.
Winter
Still
at
going.
Valley Forge and defeated
Times
a
Square right
mighty
out there. Right
established
out our windows,
archers.
JVL. We can almost see each other.
Are
So
people
hard they lost
watching
so
on the
many.
big
Just
screens?
looking
out
at each
there?
other.
Tim, are
Thousands
they
and
out there
thousands
tasting
of
No, they
miles
look
away.
like
It's a dangerous
You and I,
frontier.
There's a
the
couple
moon
chump
and New York
impressions.
City,
Wilderness
Timothy.
to build a life and a magnificent home for their family. They packed their families into covered wagons, trekked across hazardous trails, scaled towering
Some of them in
mountains,
Oregon.
and braved rivers.
Many of them
and
died of
rocks
dysentery
to stake
or
their claim on
didn't
the
have an
wide
extra
open,
axle
new,
when their axle broke.
very beautiful
Should have
frontier.
bought different things at the general
Our
store.
way of life was threatened. American patriots marched.
If you
onto
guys
the
don't get that in the
battlefield,
comments, I'm
raced
done with you.
into enemy strongholds and stared down death and
my
stared down
generation.
those enemies to keep alive the flame of freedom. At Yorktown, Gettysburg, and Midway, they joined the roll call of immortal heroes. So many just so many heroes, so many great, great people. And we have to cherish those people. We can't forget those people. We have to cherish those people. And building monuments to those great people
It
is
seems
a
like
good
it was
thing,
a
not
mistake to pivot to love. I just want to say that. I mean,
They saved our country.
he could still ride this out. That
No
he's still in the
challenge was
lead.
too much.
Probably hasn't harmed
No
himself that
hardship
much tonight. But
was too
like,
great.
He doesn't do
No
love.
enemy was too
Cherishing.
fierce.
Even the word cherish
These
doesn't sound
patriots
right coming out of his
soldiered
mouth.
on and endured.
Be yourself would
They
be.
prevailed.
Don't listen to my
Because they had
advice,
faith
Chris
in each other,
Lasavita.
faith
But
in
if I
their
were to give
country,
advice,
and
I would
above all, they
say
had faith in their God.
let him roll. The God talk, the providence, the cherishing, the
Just
love.
like
That's
our
not Donald Trump.
ancestors, we must now
That's not
come
what got
together,
you.
rise
Nixon.
above past
No.
differences.
Right?
Hey,
Any
JVL, what's that hat?
disagreements have to be put aside and go
It's the
forward.
Philadelphia
united
Phillies
as
City
one
Connect hat.
people, one
It
nation,
is hot fire.
pledging allegiance to one great, beautiful, I think it's so beautiful, American flag.
I like it, especially right side up.
Tonight I ask for your partnership, for your support, and I am humbly asking for your vote. I want your vote. Going to make our country great again. Every day I will strive to honor the trust you have placed in me.
I'm going to stay positive.
Never,
Here's my
ever
positive
let you
spin on
down. I
this.
promise that I will
I
never
was
let you
deeply
down.
worried on Saturday evening
To all
that
of
this
the
was going to
forgotten
be
men and women who have been neglected,
very
abandoned,
fashy.
and left behind,
a
you will be
deeply
forgotten
scary,
no
fashy
longer.
Nazi
We will press
rally,
forward, and
Lindbergh rally
together
at Madison
we will
Square Garden
win,
type shit.
win, win.
And it's just, it's not. It's limp. It's
But
limp.
that's good. I'm honestly 100% real talk. Credit to Trump for that. For doing a sort of schmaltz camp kind of thing about it instead of fashy.
Nothing will sway us.
It's a win.
Credit.
Could have been
Credit to
really.
him. I'll take
we
it.
could have been in a very dark place.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, it's not good. It's weird.
No
and,
matter what
and
dangers come our way, no matter what obstacles lie in our path,
people aren't going to be watching
we will
this
keep
on
striving toward our
AI
shared
Tube
and
in
glorious
2090 as an
destiny,
example of great
and we
oratory
will
of the
not fail. We will
late
not fail.
American Republic. But, you know.
Together we will save this country. We will restore the republic, and we will usher in the rich and wonderful tomorrows that our people so truly deserve.
That's
America's future will
Kid
be
Rock and
bigger,
Limp Fashy.
better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before.
That's such a strong passage. Very powerful words.
And quite simply put, we will very quickly make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Think about how little call and response they had. I mean, just the crowd
Hey Barry,
engagement.
can you mute? Once the balloons go, would you mute this?
Great country. Thank you very much.
We're gonna
everybody.
see the balloons.
We could see the balloons. We don't have to listen to the balloons.
Are they gonna do balloons?
Boy, that's a pretty anticlimactic finish. All right, Barry, turn their volume off. We don't need to hear them anymore. I don't know. Could have been worse.
I think "Hold On, I'm Coming" is an annoyingly good choice for a song for him. It's almost like a troll of people. It's like a troll. I think he's chosen it as a troll of libs. It's like, "Hold on, I'm coming back." I think that's what he's doing. Do you have Sam Stein coming for the post game? I gotta go do. I gotta go do John Howman. I don't have any great thoughts. Limp Fashy. That's the best I got.
It was a boring speech. It took forever. I think the bit at the beginning worked a little better than you guys did with the screens behind him and the picture. But it went on for fucking ever. It didn't stop, and it wasn't interesting. There was no great policy idea. It was just like. It's just him rambling for 90 minutes, 100 minutes, however long this has been. It's been too long. That's all I got.
Really. Oh, there we go. Balloons.
There
go
guys,
balloons. Go.
I'm out.
All right. Bye,
Fuck
Tim.
you guys. Trump's not you. I love all of you. I love you
Thanks for
commenters.
coming, Tim.
I love Sonny.
Thanks for
I
hanging
love
out.
JVL. F you to the people that nominated him 3 times. I'll see you later.
My very good friend Tim Miller.
All right, Barry, just keep an eye out in case Sam comes in. Sonny, do you want to do 5 minutes on this?
I guess. I don't know. I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to say.
I don't think other people who did these live streams were actually on camera talking the whole time. I think we really went the extra mile on this.
I let you guys handle most of that because I'm in a hot box in here and I might die. I don't think this hurts him. I don't think this hurts him because I don't think, again, the people who are watching on this, watching this are either hate watching or love watching, and those people are whatever. They are where they are. It doesn't help him at all. There's no, except for maybe the like hugging the jacket and kissing the helmet. Like there's no visual image. There's no audio sound clip where he can be like, this is the great moment. And again, even from a policy perspective, there just wasn't anything to pull out and be like, this is it. This is the thing. Sam, how did it play on the actual floor? Because I got to tell you, we were dying the whole time on the stream. It was one of the most boring speeches I've ever been subjected to.
Yeah, I mean, the first 15 minutes or so when he was recounting the would-be assassination, people were, captivated. I think people were sort of moved by it, frankly. And then it just kind of digressed, and it just kept going and going and going. There were people, I'm sorry, I'm walking through like a pretty busy, there were people who stood the entire time. And I was just like anxious for them because I felt for their feet. It was long. By the end, people were, a good chunk of the crowd was checked out, checking their cell phones, not really paying attention. He did not, obviously, so self-apparent, like the teleprompter, he just didn't stick to it at all. There were times when it would just stop for lengthy periods of time, meandering, really hard to follow at times. I think people, you got to keep in mind, like a lot of these people are like, they're Trump fans who've been to many, many rallies. So a lot of the lines they recognize, they almost anticipated, like the shtick that they're used to the sort of one-liners that he has, like the green new scam and things like that. But I think they're used to higher energy too. And this was just, it was kind of a weirdly quiet room. It made J.D. Vance's speech look highly energetic comparatively. Weird vibe. Honestly, I'm trying to sort of process it. I just felt very odd.
Yeah, that's how it felt watching it. Just it felt weird and limp and flaccid, is how it has been described several times in the comments, and that feels about right.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what they were trying to accomplish. I mean, I guess I know what they were trying to accomplish in the first part. I will say on a substantive level, it was one of the more nativist speeches you could imagine. I mean, he kept coming back to immigration again and again. Social Security, he brought it back to immigration, drugs, immigration. It was just the border was so thematically important to the speech that clearly they think that's the biggest issue for them. But I don't know. It just I had trouble following it, and I guess most people did too who were watching it on TV. Maybe they accomplished what they wanted to do because they got the first 20 minutes done, and people tune out after that. And who cares? Like whatever happened after that. But for the people who were watching, I think it was really hard to follow.
Yeah. JVL, more thoughts?
Yeah. So Sam, Sonny, or maybe it was Tim. Tim said right at the end that it wasn't nearly as bad as he feared. And I had the same thing. So after Trump got shot, I thought to myself, the convention is going to turn into a Leni Riefenstahl production. And it's going to be a full triumph of the will. We've been stabbed in the back by, these degenerates and vermin. And Trump did not do that. And for which I am genuinely grateful for. I understand that saying that somebody didn't act like a Nazi is like a low bar, but I'm genuinely grateful for it. And so on that scale, it could have been much worse. But on the other hand, if you're Kamala Harris looking at this, I think this makes you think, I don't know, this is a tired old man who 55% of the country does not like. I can compete with that. Am I wrong?
No, and to extend it a little bit, he was, he was apologetic and praiseworthy of the Secret Service, which has been, a subject of real scorn here at the convention. Yesterday, you saw 2 sitting United States senators chase the head of the Secret Service through the halls of the convention, hounding her. Trump went on the stage and he's like, they're heroes. Now, look, like you said, kind of, do we applaud that he didn't go full, I don't know, that he didn't try to make complete politics out of it? I guess you can apply that. Yeah, I mean, I'm grateful too. And the other element you talked about in terms of does this look to Democrats like opportunity? Yeah, of course. I mean, Biden is not the only one who's plagued by a bad reputation around issues of coherence and age. And this, for every Democrat I was watching online, and the few that I did happen to exchange messages with, they're like, this is a guy we can beat. We just need a candidate who can do it. And I saw Tim joke about this online. Maybe this persuades the Biden people that he should stay in because there's some vulnerability here. But I don't know. You watch that speech from Trump and you say to yourself, there's nothing compelling about the message. He wasn't trying to expand his coalition. I mean, didn't do anything terribly harmful, but that's a beatable candidate if you have the right campaign against them.
Yeah. I'm sorry. One second, Sonny.
Yeah.
The thing that I think most about is that these moments succeed when they convey a sense that they are historical and part of something very big. And so the version of this is the 2008 Obama convention. But the 2016 Trump, his speech, which was the I alone can fix it speech, felt like there's something very big and historic is happening here. This did not feel like that. And maybe that's by design. Maybe they just want to seem less crazy and more like, hey, it's not so bad. You can trust him with the keys to the car again.
Well, let me stop you for a second. I think it did for the first 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes.
Sure.
10 minutes were okay, he's going through this really detailed, specific story about how he almost was just killed. And he's talking about the effect it had and, this is compelling stuff. And so it did have that early sensation of we're watching something really historic, frankly. This has just not happened in our lifetimes. And then it just, I don't know, it just fell apart after that. And it should have been half the size, obviously. I think thematically it was fine, but it just kept going and rambling. So I get what you're saying, and I think they had an opportunity to do it. I go back to wondering if enough people just saw the first part and they're like, okay, that's pretty interesting and compelling stuff, and they forget about the last 3/4 of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I still feel like I am remembering the 2016 speech differently from you, JBL. I remember that being lower energy. Again, the split between the campaign rallies and the speech was there as well. I want to just talk a little bit, very briefly, about things that weren't mentioned at all. Was Supreme Court mentioned one time? In that Supreme Court judge, he mentioned the judge who let him off.
Yeah, Eileen Cannon was mentioned. Yeah.
But he did not.
So I guess you could say the Supreme Court was mentioned, Sonny.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, wink, wink. But I think that's a huge shift from 2016, right? In 2016, it was, I have to win because you need my Supreme Court nominees on the court to do Roe, whatever, and that has been nullified to a certain extent, in part because I don't know. I guess there are 6 conservative justices, and there's less worry about that. But it does feel like a real shift in priorities for.
There was zero social conservatism in there. No
Zero.
drag
No
queens.
no gay marriage, no trans stuff,
No trans
no
stuff.
abortion.
No. There was one mention of women playing women's sports.
Oh, okay.
There was that one line, but other than that, nothing.
Yeah. No, it's just it definitely feels like the big focus was immigration and inflation, and like he hit on those pretty hard, which again, a kind of interesting shift in the priorities.
I mean,
over
it
the
was
last 8 years.
I was just it was like 60% immigration. He was like praising Operation Wetback, talking about Ecuador and El Salvador, and it just kept coming back. I mean, I was writing it down because he'd be like, drill, baby, drill, and he'd be like, close the border, finish the wall, deface the nation. And he'd be like, actually, immigrants are stealing your Social Security. And it was just like, he just kept coming back. Now, I think we shouldn't lose track of the fact that on at least three occasions that I noted, he kept saying the election was stolen from him. Like, total election denialism about 2020. The big
Did
lie.
he say that? I missed that.
Yeah, I missed it. I missed it too. We were talking over.
There's three times where he talked about the election cheating in 2020. One in the context of none of this would have happened in Israel because he had Iran locked down, but if not for the stolen election, he would have been there to make sure. And so he kept coming back, and obviously very backwards looking, but I think on a larger scale, social, civics issue, it's problematic to perpetuate the big lie.
Yeah.
But and then he talked about Viktor Orban. It was like honestly, it was like a campaign rally speech, just really heavy on immigration, no social issues. And the reason he didn't talk about the Supreme Court is because, again, he's gotten what he wanted out of them, but also I don't think he wants to remind any voter that the court overturned Roe. They've not talked about abortion at all.
Yeah.
All right, Sonny, do you have anything else, man?
No.
Sam, do you have
nothing
anything
else about this?
No, I gotta go edit Caputo, so I gotta leave you guys anyway.
All right. Well, Sonny, then you want to send us home?
Thank you for listening, watching, everyone. This was a lot of fun. Sam, thanks for being here. We'll send Tim all your love, everybody else, and we'll be with you for the rest of this election season. Come hang out at the Bulwark Plus. It's lots of fun.